Chapter 85. The entire supermarket was shaped like a square. There was a certain amount of empty space around the supermarket. Originally, this was to allow customers to park their electric scooters and cars, and also to allow more customers to enter the supermarket. Before the Grand Nirvana period, there were over 1 million people living around this supermarket, not to mention the customers that came from other places. However, right now, there were countless monsters occupying the empty space around the supermarket. How do I get into the steel-armored dragon's nest and take the dragon egg? Should I charge in through the windows on the first and second floors as fast as I can? Luo Feng was in midair, and through his binoculars, he could see the densely packed monsters below him. With so many monsters, some of them will definitely notice me charging in. Then I'm screwed. I'll go down first. Staying in midair is exhausting my spiritual force. Luo Feng first flew to the center of the supermarket. The entire area of the supermarket was gigantic, so the rooftop of the supermarket was also shockingly large. However, the rooftop was completely empty, without a single monster. That's not weird, since there are strict ranks among the monsters. Horde leader, commander, soldier. As the core of the monster nest, the monsters that live in this supermarket all have extremely high positions in the monster horde. They're either commander or horde leader level monsters. These monsters with high statuses did not like to be exposed to the wind, the sun, and the rain. So most of the commander level monsters live on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floors. As for the steel-armored dragon, it dominates the 1st and 2nd floors. The 2 low-level horde leader, triple halberd fire-scaled boars live in another commercial building next to the supermarket, which is around 100 meters away. Only countless normal monsters were drenched by the wind and rain in the empty space around them. And neither horde leaders nor commanders allow regular monsters to enter this core area, which is why there aren't any monsters on the rooftop. Whoosh! Luo Feng fell straight down from the sky and landed in the middle of the rooftop. The monsters around the supermarket were quite far away from Luo Feng, so they couldn't see him at all. How do I get to the 1st and 2nd floors right now? Luo Feng half squatted on the rooftop. The 3rd, 4th, and 5th floors are probably filled with elite monsters. The empty space around the supermarket is also filled with countless monsters. How do I get in? Luo Feng's ideas were rejected one after another. Clearly, the steel-armored dragon's nest is like an iron wall, making it hard to charge in. Rumble. In the distance, the battle between the 2 war gods and the 3 monster lords seemed to be shaking the heavens and the earth. Roars, the sounds of buildings crashing and collapsing, and the howls of countless monsters continuously sounded out. And on the rooftop of the supermarket, Luo Feng half squatted there in deep thought. Got it! Luo Feng's eyes flashed. The supermarket has a total of 5 floors above ground. Including the underground parking lot, it has a total of 6 floors. This kind of supermarket will have elevators. In fact, there are even 2 elevators. One is a guest elevator, and the other is an internal freight elevator. In that case, the elevator shaft would be a direct path to it. As long as I find this elevator, I can directly descend to the 1st and 2nd floors. Of course, the atrium of the elevator might have already been destroyed by monsters. However, the space of the elevator patio was small, and the monsters did not want to destroy the supermarket building. In the end, there was a high chance that the elevator patio, which was usually small and located at the edge of the supermarket building, would still exist. What's more, the supermarket might have 2 elevator patios, the passenger elevator and the freight elevator. The elevator patio. Luo Feng swiftly searched the side of the rooftop. The method of searching was simple. He extended his spiritual force through the rooftop and checked the structure below. This method only works for spirit readers. Luo Feng carefully laid on the rooftop, afraid that he would be discovered by the large amounts of monsters below. Found it. Luo Feng let out a face of joy. Yeah. Extend downwards, 4th floor, 3rd floor. Luo Feng extended his spiritual force downwards and checked the structure of the elevator patio. The entire patio wasn't damaged at all. The monsters clearly took good care of the supporting structures of the supermarket. After all, this is the home of the monsters. Chi. 2 black throwing knives floated up and lightly drew a circle on the rooftop. This is a 9th series throwing knife that is who knows how many times harder than diamond. It easily cut a circular hole like tofu, and the circular stone slab was controlled by Luo Feng's spiritual force and slowly landed on the rooftop without making any sound. Luo Feng lowered his head and looked below. This patio, seems like the elevator door on the 3rd floor is a bit indented, but the whole thing doesn't seem to have changed at all. Luo Feng let out a smile. The hexagonal shield floated in front of him. Luo Feng took a step and landed on the hexagonal shield. Go down. The hexagonal shield immediately slowly descended without making any sound. 5th floor, 4th floor, 3rd floor. The steel cables and the steel elevator doors could all be seen, but they've been covered in dust for a long time. It's been far too long since anyone has used it. This is the 1st floor. Luo Feng hovered in front of one of the elevator doors. The elevator doors were tightly shut. Luo Feng's mind moved and the 2 throwing knives immediately stuck in between the 2 tightly shut elevator doors and gently pulled them apart. Chi. Perhaps because the elevator doors haven't been open for too long, they actually made a sound at this time, scaring Luo Feng. I'm inside the supermarket. There aren't any monsters on the 1st and 2nd floors. If the sound is very soft, the monster squads outside shouldn't be able to hear it. Luo Feng took in a deep breath and opened the elevator doors extremely slowly. Because he was moving very slowly, the sound he made was also very soft. When the elevator doors were halfway open, he used his spiritual force's understanding of the structure of the elevator doors to easily twist the steel and jam the elevator doors. Done. Luo Feng held his breath and didn't dare to relax at all. With a light step, he stood on the ground. The floating shield behind him immediately landed behind him, and the 2 buckles on his body naturally locked onto the shield under the control of his spiritual force. So smelly, a thick stench filled the entire 1st floor. Luo Feng, who breathed in this smell, felt a bit uncomfortable. Where's the steel-armored dragon's egg? Luo Feng carefully moved forward. His spiritual force was used on his arm guard, shield, and alloy battle boots, causing his entire body to be as light as a swallow. Every step he took was light as a feather and didn't make any sound. Who? He. Luo Feng raised his head and looked above. The 1st and 2nd floors were almost completely broken through. Only the framework of the supermarket wasn't destroyed. All sorts of broken shelves and rotten food were piled up on both sides. Sometimes, Luo Feng couldn't even walk, so he could only use his spiritual force to lightly open a path. The steel-armored dragon probably lives in the center of the supermarket. That place is the most spacious. Luo Feng directly headed towards the center. Slowly, Luo Feng saw an oval-shaped ball. Dragon egg. Luo Feng held his breath and slowly moved forward. The roars of monsters carried over from outside the supermarket, causing Luo Feng to be even more careful. Every step he took was extremely light. This place stinks even more. The closer Luo Feng got to the oval-shaped ball, the thicker the stench became. The steel-armored dragon probably lives there normally, so this stench comes from the steel-armored dragon. Soon enough, Luo Feng arrived at a distance of around 10 meters from the dragon egg. He could already clearly observe the dragon egg. This was a dragon egg that was around a meter tall. The eggshell was green and there were some faint markings on it. The steel-armored dragon's dragon egg. Luo Feng's eyes flashed. Everything was within reach. However, who knows if the steel-armored dragon set up some sort of trap around the dragon egg to prevent others from stealing it. However, the dragon egg is alive, so my spiritual force probably won't be able to move it. Luo Feng's thoughts moved and 6 throwing knives swiftly flew over. They formed a circular shape at the bottom of the dragon egg and lightly supported the entire dragon egg, just like a metal ring supporting the dragon egg. To be safe, the backs of the throwing knives were close to the outer shell of the dragon egg. Dragon egg, come here. Luo Feng swiftly opened his backpack and undid it layer by layer. He opened up half of the maximum capacity of the backpack. The entire backpack can easily store items that are as tall as a person. The steel-armored dragon egg from afar was carried over. Chapter 86. In the empty first floor of the supermarket, a fishy smell permeated the air. An oval-shaped cyan-armored dragon egg was carried into the bag by 6 flying knives in a ring formation. After that, the 6 throwing knives swiftly flew into the pockets on the outside of Luo Feng's leg. Chi! Luo Feng pulled on a rope on his bag and immediately locked the entire dragon egg in the innermost layer of his bag. What a steal! Let's hurry up and go. Luo Feng carried his bulging bag and prepared to leave. However, right when he turned around, "What's that?" From the corner of Luo Feng's eyes, he noticed that there were a few items placed not too far away. Keep in mind that this is where the steel-armored dragons sleep. Other than the dragon eggs, the other annoying items like shelves, fridges, and televisions have all been swept to the side. The ground was empty. However, there were some items placed on the empty ground. These items weren't too far away from the dragon egg, so the steel-armored dragon probably sees these items every day. What's the steel-armored dragon doing by placing these items in its field of vision? Luo Feng's heart skipped a beat as he swiftly approached. As he moved forward, Luo Feng's heart started to speed up. Could it be? Could it really be? When Luo Feng couldn't help but to arrive 3 meters away from these items, he couldn't help but to clench his fists. It really is it! I've really hit the jackpot this time. The items in front of Luo Feng were alloy battle boots, a battle uniform, etc., and also a sharp sword in its sheath. The material of this combat uniform was pure black, but this kind of pure black made people hold their breath. The sword's scabbard was well made, much better than his own blood shadow saber's scabbard. It's definitely a wargod's weapon and equipment. Luo Feng was extremely excited. Just from looking at the material of this battle uniform, I can tell that it's not normal. That sharp sword is definitely many times better than my saber. And this human battle uniform was kept by the steel-armored dragon. Killing a war god wearing this set of equipment is probably the proudest thing for the steel-armored dragon. Luo Feng easily guessed this. A horde leader monster's intelligence is on par with a human's, and a human war god might not be able to beat a horde leader monster's. However, a human war god's ability to escape is extremely strong. In the entire country of China, the fall of a war god was extremely rare. Every time a war god from their country died, the whole country would hold a live broadcast of their mourning. One could imagine just how difficult it was for a monster lord to kill a war god. Therefore, Ares' equipment left behind in the wilderness were also very rare. For the steel-armored dragon to be so proud of this set of battle uniform and sword, this human war god was definitely very strong. And this set of equipment had gone through a battle with a high-level lord without any damage. It must be of a very high level. It's at least a 9th series. Luo Feng swiftly deduced. According to the market price, the full price of the 9th series combat uniform set was 12 billion Chinese dollars, while the half price of the limit home was 6 billion Chinese dollars. Even if this second-hand combat suit doesn't sell for 6 billion, it's still worth it. It's still possible to sell it for 2 to 3 billion. And this is just the price of a 9th series, if this battle uniform set is an SS grade. Luo Feng could feel his blood boiling. The first to the 9th series corresponded to the H class, G class, C class, B class, A class, S class. A 9th series weapon and combat uniform, in other words, an S-class weapon and combat uniform. And above the S-class there's the SS class. An SS-grade battle uniform can defend against the bite of most SS Emperor-level monsters. As for Horde Leader-level monsters, they definitely can't destroy an SS-grade battle uniform. If it's an SS grade that's even more valuable than the 9th series, then it'll be an astronomical price. Luo Feng was extremely excited. The full price of a 9th series S-grade battle uniform set was 12 billion. And the full price of an SS-grade battle uniform set was a shocking 120 billion. It's not something that a normal person or power can afford. Keep in mind that this is something that can defend against the bite of most SS Emperor-level monsters. The difference in strength between an Emperor-level monster and a Horde Leader-level monster is extremely shocking. An Emperor-level monster can sweep through a group of Horde leaders, absolutely. And the difference in strength between humans surpassing the War God level, like Hong and Thunder God, and the War God level is like heaven and earth. Naturally, the price of an SS-grade equipment is much higher than an S-grade equipment. An SS-grade battle uniform set, full price 120 billion. Even at half price, it's still 60 billion. If this is an SS-grade battle uniform set, even if it's a second-hand item, it's not impossible to sell it for 20 to 30 billion. Luo Feng was extremely excited. Who knows, with all the money I get here, I might be able to get enough money to buy the elixir of life for my brother. Of course, Luo Feng doesn't know if this battle uniform set is an SS grade. But it's at least a 9th series S grade, that's for sure. It might even be an SS grade. After saying so much, Luo Feng walked in front of the battle uniform set and the sword. In just a short moment, many thoughts flashed through his mind. He couldn't care less and immediately opened his backpack. If it's an SS grade, then it'll be worth way more than the dragon egg. Luo Feng swiftly controlled his spiritual force and swiftly put the battle uniform, alloy boots, arm guards, and sword into his backpack. Around the entrance of this huge supermarket, a group of commander-level monsters were patrolling the area. Among them, there were a few dozen commander-level monsters guarding the entrance. Occasionally, they would turn around and look inside the supermarket. Through the empty entrance, with the vision of a commander-level monster, they could faintly see the oval-shaped dragon egg. Protect the dragon egg. This was the mission that the leader, Steel-Armored Dragon, gave to this commander-level squad. This was also why the Beast Commander squad didn't follow and fight the two human war gods. One of the high-level commander bloodthirsty tanks laid there. Its enormous body was like a mound. It slowly turned its head and casually glanced at the interior of the supermarket. It didn't know how many times it had done this action. In the past, it could easily see the blurry image of the dragon egg. But this time, boom! The bloodthirsty tank fiercely stood up. Its gigantic eyes were wide open as it immediately raised its head and let out an anxious roar. Roar! An ear-piercing and crazy roar instantly resounded in a radius of 10 miles. And the other commander-level monsters at the entrance of the supermarket all turned their heads at the same time, as if it was a conditioned reflex. They all raised their heads and roared crazily. At the same time, rumble! All of the commander-level monsters, no matter if they were at the entrance of the supermarket or patrolling nearby. Even the ones that were leisurely resting on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floors of the supermarket all roared and charged towards the core area of the 1st floor. Rumble! A huge hole appeared in the floor and the concrete walls. In an instant, the entire 5-story supermarket started shaking as if it was about to collapse. In the distance, the steel-armored dragon and the 2 tri-halberd fire-scaled boars were fighting against the 2 human war gods Wang Tong and Li Kan. At this time, the scales on the steel-armored dragon's head were shattered and one of its eyes was already blind. Wang Tong also had faint traces of blood on his body, but he seemed to be in a much better condition than the steel-armored dragon. Roar! A roar came from the direction of the supermarket. The steel-armored dragon's single eye almost instantly turned red. Roar! An ear-piercing roar instantly tore through the sky. The sound even created a visible shockwave that swept in all directions. The concrete around it instantly cracked, and even the steel bars actually broke, causing a huge cloud of dust to rise. This angry roar practically echoed through the entire 003 city. Not good. Wang Tong's face changed greatly. It's gone crazy. This steel-armored dragon has gone crazy. Whoa! The steel-armored dragon's roar was so shrill that it was a bit hoarse. From this roar, one could feel that this steel-armored dragon's anger could not be extinguished even if all the water in the 5 lakes and 4 oceans were poured out. Boom! The steel-armored dragon's speed instantly rose to an unprecedented limit. It didn't even care if its bones could handle it. It just madly charged towards the Family Mart. Rumble! The horrifying sonic boom caused the ground, buildings, etc. to shatter and rocks to fly everywhere. Right as Luo Feng was swiftly putting his battle uniform and other equipment into his backpack, a crazy roar came from outside the supermarket. After that, all the commander-level monsters started roaring, scaring even Luo Feng. What's going on? Luo Feng slightly froze, since he didn't make a sound. Rumble! The floors above, the concrete walls of the east, west, south, and north were all smashed apart, creating huge holes. One by one, the enraged commander-level monsters charged in. Protecting the dragon egg was the biggest mission given to them by their leader, the steel-armored dragon. The dragon egg is the life of the steel-armored dragon. No matter what, they have to protect the dragon egg at all costs. F***K, I've been found. Run. Luo Feng didn't feel any guilt for stealing the dragon egg. Humans and monsters, this is a war between the two races. The monsters want to destroy the human race, and the human race wants to destroy the monster race. Making the monsters angry, hurt, and suffer great losses is actually a good thing. Whoosh! Luo Feng instantly rose to his maximum speed and dashed towards the elevator well. The gigantic commander-level monsters that charged in immediately chased after him. The elevator door was already blocked by Luo Feng, so Luo Feng instantly charged in. Run! Luo Feng immediately wanted to charge into the sky. Rumble! Luo Feng felt as if the entire supermarket was about to collapse. With a pring sound, the elevator well was directly smashed open. Almost at the same time, quite a few commander-level monsters smashed open the elevator well from the inside and outside of the supermarket. A few monsters from the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floors also instantly surrounded him. Not good! Luo Feng immediately stomped on the wall and, like a bolt of lightning, dashed out of the elevator well and headed towards the sky outside. As long as he can get into the sky, he can escape. However, just as Luo Feng got out, commander-level monsters leaped over from the monster horde. The normal soldier-level monsters in the horde didn't move at all. Only the low-level commander-level monsters leaped out from various positions in the horde. In a commander-level squad, the weakest is a medium-level commander. Most of the low-level commander-level monsters were scattered throughout the monster horde. Normally, they were there to lead the entire monster horde. At this moment, all of the low-level commanders charged over. With this charge, they all leaped around 10 meters into the air. Some of the monsters from the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floors even charged towards the rooftop. They basically blocked the space above Luo Feng. In the sky, underground, all of them surrounded. Rumble! The steel-armored dragon, whose speed has already surpassed the speed of sound, ran even faster than its roar. It left behind a blurry image and a trail of carnage as it charged into the smoky area. In just a few short seconds, this enraged steel-armored dragon with red eyes will arrive at the Carrefour supermarket. Chapter 87. The roars of the hundreds of commander-level monsters pierced through the sky. At this moment, over 100 commander-level monsters flew above Luo Feng, and there were even more commander-level monsters on the ground. Even though there were only around 60 medium-level commanders and 30 high-level commanders among these hundreds of commander-level monsters, the rest were all low-level commanders. However, even a beginner-level war god wouldn't be able to escape from such a shocking amount. F***CK, I don't believe I can't get out. Luo Feng clenched his teeth as his gaze became fierce. While he was in midair, he made a strange turn and dodged a commander-level monster that was charging at him. He used his spiritual force on his shield, scabbard, blade, boots, and arm guards to exert force from different directions, allowing his body to constantly change directions in midair. Keep in mind that these monsters are all quite large, and Luo Feng's body is much smaller in comparison. This means that under normal circumstances, only 2 or 3 monsters can attack Luo Feng. Dodge. Continuously dodge. The monsters couldn't change directions in midair, so they could only helplessly fall down. At the same time, they let out angry roars. Luo Feng, on the other hand, was like a butterfly. Compared to the monsters, his small body swiftly changed directions time and time again, causing the monsters' attacks to fail. Soon, just 1 or 2 more seconds and there will be fewer monsters leaping towards me. Then I'll be able to escape. Luo Feng dodged with all his might, not even daring to touch the ground. Howl, howl, howl. The moment the commander-level monsters landed on the ground, one of the high-level commander-level horned wild boar let out a low roar, almost in unison. Around 60 commander-level monsters leapt towards Luo Feng at the same time. These 60 commander-level monsters formed 2 layers of cover in midair. Commander-level monsters are already quite intelligent. High-level commander-level monsters are almost as intelligent as humans. Their previous failure caused these commander-level monsters to instantly change their tactics. They leapt towards Luo Feng in unison like a cover, not leaving any space for him. Rumble! Another group of commander-level monsters leapt towards Luo Feng from the ground. Another layer of monsters gathered to form a barrier. 3 layers, 4 layers, 5 layers. Almost 200 commander-level monsters flew up one after another and formed 5 layers of barriers that descended from the sky towards Luo Feng. This monster is too smart. It found a way in an instant. Luo Feng couldn't help but to feel anxious as he looked at the barrier formed by the monsters in the sky that left no space for him. However, the monsters did not give him any time to think. In an instant they were already in front of him. Let's fight! Luo Feng clenched his teeth and continued to pretend to dodge. Naturally, he was covered by the barrier formed by the large amount of monsters. Luo Feng finally came into close contact with a medium-level warlord bloodthirsty tank. Roar! The bloodthirsty tank, whose entire body was covered in fiery red scales, had bloodshot eyes. It roared and opened its mouth. The sharp teeth in its mouth were like saws. Perhaps even steel would be easily chewed to pieces. Those 4 powerful hooves that were able to support a huge body fiercely stomped towards Luo Feng. Humph! A black light flashed in front of Luo Feng. Poochie! A black light instantly pierced into the bloodthirsty tank's bloody mouth. With a boom, it pierced through the bloodthirsty tank's sturdy skull, causing brain matter to splatter everywhere. And the black light drew an arc as it swiftly flew back in front of Luo Feng. The eyes of the crazy medium-level warlord-level bloodthirsty tank instantly dimmed. Luo Feng's body shrunk and actually shrunk into the bloodthirsty tank's stomach. Charge up! With the bloodthirsty tank's gigantic body that's comparable to a truck, hiding under the bloodthirsty tank's stomach wasn't a problem at all. Whoosh! He directly charged upwards with the bloodthirsty tank's corpse. He was completely using the bloodthirsty tank's corpse as a shield. The commander-level monster that was flying down froze for a bit when it saw its own kind charge upward. While it froze, Luo Feng had already smashed through the gigantic corpse. Roar, roar! The commander-level monsters behind him didn't hesitate at all as they crazily attacked the bloodthirsty tank's corpse from a close distance. Trample, ram, bite, Rumble, Luo Feng could only feel a strong force coming from the monster's corpse above him. Even though the force was weakened by 90% through the monster's corpse, the force still caused Luo Feng's body to shake and his organs to tremble. With a pu sound, he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of fresh blood. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Even more commander-level monsters on the ground saw that the detestable human was actually charging upwards with the monster's corpse above him. They immediately fiercely leaped up one by one. These commander-level monsters can usually reach a height of around 10 meters or even 20 meters with a single leap. And their jumping speed is extremely fast. Not good. Luo Feng, who had a blood stain on the corner of his mouth, saw the commander-level monsters jump one after another as they continuously flew towards him. Continuously flying, falling, then flying back. It's an endless cycle. I can't escape at all. Luo Feng's face changed greatly. Rumble, and at this time, the steel-armored dragon that was flying at supersonic speeds had one eye that was completely red, as if it was about to drip blood. Under its extreme speed, the ground started to crack from the force of its steps. Right now, it was only around 800 meters away from the supermarket. With its shocking speed, it would only need less than 2 seconds to arrive. The commander-level monsters continuously flew over, putting Luo Feng in a desperate situation. That steel-armored dragon is less than 10 miles away from here. With its supersonic speed, it'll arrive soon. This thought flashed through Luo Feng's mind. If that high-level horde leader, steel-armored dragon, comes over, then he really won't have any chance of survival. With the steel-armored dragon's speed, he probably won't be able to dodge it at such a close distance. Risk it. If I risk it, I'll still have a chance of survival. If I don't, I'll die for sure. In less than 0.1 seconds, Luo Feng made his decision. He clenched his teeth. With a ghost blade in hand and a shield on his back, he strangely moved horizontally in midair and collided with a commander-level horned boar that was flying over from below. After that, he fiercely stomped on the back of the horned boar. The horned boar crashed back into the ground and even killed a normal soldier-level monster. Using this powerful force and his spiritual force, Luo Feng charged upwards at an astonishing speed. Charge! Howl, 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 the commander-level monsters all flew over. Luo Feng's eyes were red. His spiritual force was already spread out and covered an area of 15 meters. 5 meters to the upper left, a medium-level commander-level horned boar. 3 meters to the upper right, a low-level commander-level bloodthirsty tank. Above our heads, 2 monsters are pressing down on us. In this moment of life and death, Luo Feng's brain processing speed reached an astonishing level, and he instantly made his decision. Pu. Using the force of the collision with the horned boar, Luo Feng's speed increased. Pung! Luo Feng charged upwards diagonally with the corpse of a monster on his head. Chi! The throwing knife flew out. Rumble! The 3 monsters collided in midair. In just 1.2 seconds, Luo Feng turned into a mirage and continuously charged upwards, coming into close contact with the 21 commander-level monsters. Whether it's using force or killing or taking damage, either way, he did everything he could. His goal was to be fast, to fly even higher with his fastest speed. Pu. 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 Luo Feng finally charged out from the pouncing monsters in midair. As soon as he charged out, Luo Feng spat out 3 mouthfuls of blood. The 5th series battle uniform on his body was already damaged, and blood completely seeped out of his chest. I made it out alive! Luo Feng, whose face was pale, was extremely excited as he floated in midair. He became even more excited as he looked at the smoke around him. He originally thought that he was going to die, and that he might even die. Who would have thought that he would be able to make it out alive after going crazy? A person's potential is really forced out. Luo Feng couldn't help but to laugh. In that short moment, I actually calculated all 81 commander-level monsters around me and came into close contact with 21 of them before escaping. Is this the perfect level, which is one level higher than the Ru-Wei level? Environment control? Luo Feng knows that dodging techniques are divided into basic level, Ru-Wei level, perfect level, conception level. The Ru-Wei level is when one uses the smallest amount of space to dodge an attack, achieving the most efficient dodging. The perfect level is when one controls the surrounding environment and uses any object in the surroundings like life, rocks, buildings, to perfectly use the environment and dodge with the greatest precision. This is the perfect level of technique. That huge war god Li Kan is at this level. And that shadow blade, Wang Tong, has reached an even higher level, the conception level. Compared to that huge war god, I'm much weaker. First of all, he's a fighter, so he doesn't have spiritual force to check his surroundings. I, on the other hand, rely on a large area of spiritual force to check my surroundings. After that, only when I'm in a life or death situation can my brain calculate at such a speed. I believe that the true perfect level doesn't need brain power to calculate at all. A short 2 seconds of extreme brain calculation made Luo Feng's head hurt. In an instant, he charged to around 60 meters in the air. Below him, hundreds of commander-level monsters and countless normal monsters either raised their heads and roared angrily or leaped with all their might. There were even dozens of monsters leaping in the air, sometimes stepping on other monsters and leaping again. F***ck off. Luo Feng's mind moved and a black flowing light flew over. Pucci. The high-level warlord-level monsters that had nowhere to dodge in midair were directly shot in the head by Luo Feng's throwing knife, causing them to fall from the sky. Ha. Let's go. Luo Feng's mind moved. The buckle was released and the shield flew under Luo Feng's feet. Whoosh! Luo Feng swiftly flew away. Awolo! An ear-piercing roar instantly carried over and ripples that seemed to be real spread out. My ears hurt. Luo Feng couldn't help but to cover his ears and turn around to look. He saw a gigantic steel-armored dragon, whose body was covered in green dragon scales, streak across the sky like a flowing light. It directly pounced towards Luo Feng, and its one cold eye was filled with insane killing intent. It's a steel-armored dragon. High-level horde leader, steel-armored dragon. This is 80 meters in the air. Its jumping ability is way too scary. Luo Feng's face changed and he immediately made a turn in midair. He drew a beautiful arc in an attempt to dodge the steel-armored dragon. Chapter 88. Even though the steel-armored dragon is a high-level horde leader, it can't fly. It can only run and jump. In the air, it can't change directions, so it's easy to throw it off. Luo Feng was calm as he stepped on the hexagonal shield. He drew an arc in midair and then rushed towards the clouds. One of the steel-armored dragon's eyes was already blind, leaving only one undamaged eye. That eye stared straight at Luo Feng. Howl, with a mad roar, the steel-armored dragon fiercely swung its long tail. Whoosh! The 10-meter-long tail instantly turned into a green blur as it swept towards Luo Feng. The distance between the two was instantly covered by the 10-meter-long tail. The high-level horde leader, steel-armored dragon, runs faster than the speed of sound, and the speed of its tail is more than 10 times that of its running speed. The speed of the dragon's tail is several times faster than the fastest sniper rifle bullet. This is the terror of a high-level horde leader. Chi. The edge of the dragon's tail created an extremely high-pressure current due to its speed. It can't touch me, it's still 50 to 60 centimeters away. Luo Feng instantly determined. The tip of the dragon's tail was still half a meter away from Luo Feng's chest, so he could only helplessly brush past it. However, the extremely high-pressure current that the dragon's tail carried smashed into Luo Feng's chest. It was as if a gigantic stone hammer smashed into his chest, making him feel like he couldn't breathe. Purring! Luo Feng's body flew away, and he hurriedly stabilized his shield. As expected of a high-level horde leader, the high-pressure current from the dragon's tail almost made me suffocate. Luo Feng felt a mouthful of fresh blood rush to his throat. He couldn't hold it in anymore and spat out a mouthful of fresh blood with a "pu" sound. After that, he looked towards the steel-armored dragon in midair. The steel-armored dragon's gigantic body was falling downwards. "You're a walking monster. Unless you become an emperor-level monster, you won't be able to fly." Luo Feng slightly smiled as he completely relaxed. He stepped on his shield and swiftly flew upwards. "Hoo!" He broke through the air and left. The feeling of flying is really satisfying. Awoo! The steel-armored dragon stomped on the streets of the city, leaping onto the rooftop of a 28-story high residential building. With another violent stomp, the rooftop of the residential building directly cracked open, and large amounts of concrete and rocks rolled down from the tall building. And the steel-armored dragon used this stomp to jump around 100 meters off the ground and howled as it flew towards Luo Feng. Steel-armored dragon, no matter how good your jumping ability is, it's useless. The moment the steel-armored dragon stepped onto the rooftop of the residential building, Luo Feng was already swiftly rising upwards. As he continued to rise, he easily reached a height of 300 meters. The steel-armored dragon could only fall helplessly. "Hoo!" The steel-armored dragon swung its tail at the air, and actually used the strong resistance of the air to quickly fall down. "It's useless." Luo Feng continued to fly higher as he headed towards the outskirts of number 003 city. Rumble, an ear-piercing sound came from below. In the sky, Luo Feng lowered his head and saw that the steel-armored dragon was moving through the city. Sometimes it flew past the residential buildings, sometimes it flew on the streets, and sometimes it stepped on the houses as it chased after Luo Feng. "It's still not giving up." Luo Feng's face slightly changed. As a high-level horde leader, the steel-armored dragon's vision is extremely insane. Even if I fly to a height of 2,000 to 3,000 meters, as long as there's nothing blocking my way, it can still see me. Don't even mention a high-level horde leader, even Luo Feng can see a person 2 to 3 miles away. Of course, this steel-armored dragon wouldn't be surprised if it could see a person 5 to 6 miles away. My speed doesn't exceed the speed of sound, and its running speed is faster than the speed of sound. It'll be hard to lose it. I can only break through the cloud layer. Luo Feng swiftly rose higher. Whoosh! He stepped on the hexagonal shield and directly charged upward. He wanted to break through the cloud layer. Once he's above the cloud layer, the steel-armored dragon couldn't see Luo Feng's figure, so naturally it couldn't chase. Ga. Ga Ga Ga. Along with an ear-piercing cry, a large group of bird-type monsters appeared in the northwest direction, and this large group of bird-type monsters were flying towards Luo Feng. "I'm so stupid." Luo Feng cursed at himself. The sky is basically the world of flying monsters. Only some extremely fast fighter aircrafts can fly in the sky. And if a human fighter dares to fly in the sky, he'll naturally be attacked by the surrounding flying monsters. Before the Grand Nirvana period, flying monsters had extremely good vision. Not to mention now. These flying monsters are probably far away. After discovering that he's flying in the sky, they immediately gathered their flock to surround and kill him. When I was at the Carrefour supermarket, I could still compete with those walking monsters in midair. But if I compete with these flying monsters, I'm just asking for death. Luo Feng didn't hesitate at all. After discovering this black mass of flying monsters, he immediately dove down towards the city below. Facing a flying monster horde in the sky is certain death, and facing a lone steel-armored dragon, as long as he stays a bit further away, he still has hope of surviving. Howl. Seeing that the human flying in the sky actually dove down, the steel-armored dragon immediately chased after Luo Feng. As Luo Feng dove down, he drew a huge arc in the sky. Whoosh! He directly charged towards a 12-story residential building. Like lightning, he charged through the window of the balcony. With a boom, the glass on the balcony directly exploded, and Luo Feng charged in. Rumble, like a dark cyan flowing light, the steel-armored dragon ferociously charged forward and directly rammed into the balcony of the 8th floor that Luo Feng charged into. Under the terrifying speed of the steel-armored dragon's charge, the entire residential building violently shook. The concrete wall in the middle of the floor directly cracked open and the entire building slowly collapsed. Human! The steel-armored dragon let out a beast roar and locked onto a blur that passed through in front of it. Luo Feng's blur once again charged into another residential building. Rumble! The steel-armored dragon was afraid that if it hesitated, Luo Feng would escape. So, without any hesitation, it directly rammed into the place that Luo Feng passed through. The entire residential building was split in half from the middle, and then it slowly collapsed again. This was a medium-sized sector. There were at least 20 of these 12-story residential buildings. However, Luo Feng and the steel-armored dragon, one in front and one in the back, pretty much destroyed 8 residential buildings. Passing through the glass windows of the residential buildings didn't affect Luo Feng's speed at all. However, for the steel-armored dragon's gigantic body, smashing through a residential building greatly affects its speed. However, the steel-armored dragon didn't dare to not smash, because the residential buildings blocked its field of vision. Rumble! After smashing through the 8th residential building, the steel-armored dragon suddenly stopped on the ground. The 8th residential building slowly collapsed towards the steel-armored dragon. However, the steel-armored dragon didn't dodge at all. With a boom, the entire residential building smashed onto its body. However, compared to the steel-armored dragon's body, the residential building was as weak as tofu. It didn't hurt the steel-armored dragon at all. Human, the steel-armored dragon was furious. It let out a roar and looked around. Right. It lost Luo Feng. In a dark electrical room in the underground garage of this sector, Luo Feng was currently leaning against the wall. Exhale, inhale, Luo Feng slowly breathed as he felt the waves of pain from his chest. Fresh blood also seeped out of his battle uniform. I'm pretty heavily injured this time. I was heavily injured when I was trying to escape from the encirclement of the large amounts of commander-level monsters. Then, I was hit in the chest by the high pressure created by the steel-armored dragon's tail. This made my injuries even more severe. Luo Feng lightly rubbed his chest twice. Waves of pain passed through, causing Luo Feng's face to become even paler. Even though he was heavily injured, he was in a good mood. I'm hiding in this underground garage, and it's also in this electrical room. That steel-armored dragon probably won't be able to find me. Luo Feng let out a smile. Before he charged into this sector, he already made his escape plan. In a sector like this, there's definitely an underground garage. He passed through the residential buildings again and again, and the residential buildings blocked the steel-armored dragon's field of vision. No matter how strong the steel-armored dragon was, it kept smashing through the residential buildings. However, he finally found an opportunity. The entrance to an underground garage wasn't too far away from the 8th residential building. Naturally, he charged in. As the 8th residential building collapsed, the rubble covered the entrance to the underground garage. It would be quite difficult for the steel-armored dragon to guess where Luo Feng was. Howl, on the surface of the ground, the steel-armored dragon's angry howl carried over. This howl was much louder than the roars from before. Rumble, right after, the entire ground started trembling, and all sorts of howls rose and fell. One had to know that this steel-armored dragon was the leader of the beasts within a radius of 20 to 30 miles. With a single command, it would control an enormous horde of hundreds of thousands of beasts, and they would cover the sky and earth as they charged in all directions. Under the lead of low-level, medium-level, and high-level commanders, they swept through the surrounding area in search of humans. In the cold underground garage, in the electrical room, the roars of the monsters are unceasing, and the earth is shaking. That steel-armored dragon is mobilizing its entire horde to search for humans? Luo Feng's face changed. One steel-armored dragon might have a hard time finding him, but with hundreds of thousands of monsters covering the sky and earth, he'll probably be found soon if he hides here. Since this sector will definitely be the steel-armored dragon's main search area. Looks like I won't be able to recover here. Luo Feng stood up. His mood was quite relaxed. The situation before was much more difficult than this, and he managed to escape. Now I still can't escape? There are so many subway tunnels in City 003. Yeah, if I remember correctly, there's a tunnel not far from here. I'll enter the tunnel and leave number 003 city very easily. The tunnel is small, so even if there are monsters, they'll be small and weak. At least the steel-armored dragon won't be able to enter. Time to go home, time to go back to the headquarters city. When I go back, I'll sell this dragon egg, the battle uniform, and the sword. I wonder how much they can be sold for, maybe 30 billion, even though Luo Feng's chest was aching. He was still filled with hope. Even though he risked his life this time, if he can help his brother stand up again, then it'll be worth it. Chapter 89. On the rooftop of the messy Carrefour supermarket stood two silhouettes. It was Shadowblade Wang Tong and Herculean Bear Li Kan's brother Wang. I didn't think we'd get the short end of the stick this time. Li Kan's deep voice was very deep and resounding. That steel-armored dragon just laid an egg. There must have been an expert who took advantage of me and brother Wang fighting the steel-armored dragon to secretly steal the egg. That's why the steel-armored dragon went crazy and chased after it. The supermarket is also empty. There's nothing inside, Wang Tong nodded. They already checked when they chased after it. As for those commander-level monsters, they can kill beginner-level war gods and have the ability to injure intermediate-level war gods. However, against an advanced-level war god like Wang Tong, the commander-level monster horde can only collapse. After defeating the commander-level monster horde, Wang Tong and the others also searched the supermarket. This guy really is shameless, Li Kan said in a low voice. Shadowblade Wang Tong laughed. He is a bit shameless. To be able to safely escape from the attacks of the commander-level monster horde and steal the dragon egg. This strength. He's at least an intermediate-level war god. An intermediate-level war god has many ways to earn money. Why would he steal this dragon egg? Dragon eggs are valuable, but that's only relative. For example, a dragon egg is far from being comparable to an SS-grade battle uniform. If this dragon egg hatches, it's only a young steel-armored dragon. Even after it matures, a steel-armored dragon is usually only a low-level horde leader. Only through battle after battle and metamorphosis can it slowly improve. It doesn't mean that children are always stronger than their parents. For example, the children of the world's strongest fighter Hong would find it extremely difficult to catch up to Hong. A matured normal steel-armored dragon, a low-level horde leader, is worth around 3 billion. As for unhatched dragon eggs, because they're rare, they're actually more expensive than a matured steel-armored dragon. However, it's probably around 5 billion Chinese dollars. Even though 5 billion is a lot, for an intermediate-level war god, he can rely on his own strength to kill horde leaders to earn money. There's no need to take advantage of others. So Wang Tong and Li Kan weren't angry, they only said that this guy was shameless. An intermediate-level war god trying to take advantage of us. Li Kan shook his head. Whatever, the steel-armored dragon is heavily injured and yet it's running so hard. Its injuries must be more serious, Wang Tong laughed. Our goal is to kill this high-level horde leader steel-armored dragon. We can't let it escape. Let's go, Li Kan nodded. The price of a low-level lord-grade monster was around 500 million to 3 billion. After all, they were all low-tier lords. Due to the difference in strength and species, there was a huge difference in their prices. Medium-level horde leaders are worth 1.5 billion to 9 billion. Medium-level horde leaders are 1.5 billion to 9 billion. High-level horde leaders are worth 1.5 billion to 5 billion to 9 billion. Most of the Lord-tier monsters were within this range. Of course, there were always some exceptions in this world, and those few didn't need to be mentioned. King-level horde leaders are is chun, as shuden can is. Sadly, in the entire world, other than the existences surpassing the war god level, among the extremely few advanced level war gods, only a small portion of them have the strength to kill this steel-armored dragon. At the edge of number 003 city, in a room on the 8th floor of an 8-story apartment building, the 4 members of the Thunderbolt squad were waiting. Before, Wang Tong and Li Kan told them to leave the city and go to the highway since it's safest. However, the 2 war gods went to fight the high-level horde leader steel-armored dragon, so the members of the Thunderbolt squad were very curious. So they decided to hide at the edge of the city so that they can leave at any time. Rumble. The roars of tens of thousands of monsters filled the sky within a 10-mile radius of the city. That steel-armored dragon has gone crazy. It summoned the entire monster horde and the entire horde is going crazy. The old veteran named Lu couldn't help but laugh. Mr. Wang sure is amazing to be able to beat the steel-armored dragon to this state. No wonder he's Shadowblade. The Tiger Fong squad Captain Panya nodded. Even though they were at the edge of the city, and didn't know what was happening within a few dozen miles, they naturally had a lot of guesses after hearing the commotion inside. A monster horde, I wonder what it's like, the mixed youth Li Wei's eyes flashed. Young master, the monster horde is still a few dozen miles away from us. However, just in case we should leave now. We can't hear anything else anyway, the old veteran named Lu laughed as he said. The old man named Lu said with a smile. The white brawny man beside him, Sharon, also looked at the young master. The mixed youth, Li Wei, nodded. All right, let's go back to the base city. After that, the 4 members of the Thunderbolt squad left the apartment building and went to a nearby highway, leaving number 003 city. In that small sector, Luo Feng was walking in the underground parking lot. The underground parking lot takes up an extremely large amount of space. What's special is that all the villas in this sector have their back doors connected to the underground parking lot. This way, the owners of the villas only need to go through their back doors to directly enter the underground parking lot and drive their cars away. This arrangement is also for the owners. Haha, amazing! It's actually connected to all the villas. Luo Feng carried his backpack, and his throwing knife flew through a door as he swiftly entered the basement of one of the villas. This basement was divided into a billiard room, an auditory room, a wine cellar, etc. I'll enjoy it, Luo Feng laughed as he swiftly followed the stairs to the first floor of this villa. He carefully hid next to the northern window of the living room and looked outside. Indeed, nearly 100 meters away, a dark green dragon tail could be seen swaying slightly. The dark green dragon scales on the dragon tail shone with a chilling luster under the winter sun. As for the rest of the steel-armored dragon's body, it was blocked by a villa behind it. This steel-armored dragon is extremely smart. It probably thinks that I'm still hiding somewhere in this sector and is carefully observing. Luo Feng laughed as he swiftly followed the stairs to the 3rd floor of the villa. Luo Feng smiled and swiftly went up the stairs to the 3rd floor of the villa. He bent his body so that the steel-armored dragon couldn't see him through the window. After a few decades, the windows of these villas have long been dirty. 3rd floor of the villa, the bedroom at the very front. Luo Feng looked outside through the bedroom window and searched for the entrance to the subway station that he saw when he was flying. It's there. Luo Feng quickly found out that it was one of the entrances to the subway station outside the sector. According to the layout of the underground garage and the various villas, Luo Feng calculated the shortest route to the subway station from underground. Let's do it this way. Luo Feng carefully went downstairs and returned to the underground garage through the basement. According to his previous memory, he swiftly ran to a corner of the underground garage. If I dig from here, I'll reach the subway station in less than 30 meters, even though the distance is quite far. This is already the shortest route. How do I dig? Luo Feng looked around. There were quite a few dirty cars in the underground garage. Got it. Luo Feng slightly smiled as his mind moved. Suddenly, a throwing knife flew out and noiselessly cut off the metal covers of the two cars. After that, under the control of his spiritual force, the two large metal covers were rolled up like an ice cream cone and turned into a conical shape. Luo Feng himself was directly lying inside the conical metal cover. Let's go. Under the control of his spiritual force, the throwing knife first cut a huge hole in the hard concrete wall of the underground garage. After that, the conical metal cover directly pierced through the soil and moved forward. Chi-Chi, the subway station was already covered in dust. One of the walls that was around half a meter wide was suddenly pierced through with a ping sound. Rocks and mud rolled down and a conical metal tip pierced through. A human figure was hiding inside the conical metal and with a flip, he landed on the ground. Even though this type of digging isn't as fast as some monsters that can dig through the ground, it's still pretty fast for a human fighter. Luo Feng's body was relatively clean. The subway station has been abandoned for too long. Luo Feng observed the subway map for a bit. He wiped off the dust on the glass of the subway map and carefully observed. Follow this tunnel to Kunshan City? Which city is Kunshan City? The names of the cities from before the Grand Nirvana period have long been forgotten by modern people. Luo Feng only remembers some of the more famous cities like Shanghai, Nanjing, Suzhou, Hangzhou, etc. Kunshan? Who knows where it came from? However, one thing is for sure, Kunshan City isn't part of Shanghai City. This is the line. Luo Feng arrived at the subway tunnel that used to be used for trains and directly jumped into it. After that, he swiftly headed towards the direction of Kunshan. There were actually some monsters in this subway tunnel. As Luo Feng moved forward, he met quite a few monsters. Most of them were weak soldier-level monsters, but he also met 3 low-level commander-level monsters and even 1 medium-level commander-level monster. These were all relatively small monsters. Of course, under the control of his spiritual force, they were all cleaned up. Not all of the subway tunnels are underground. Quite a few of them are above ground. This was one of the subway lines from Shanghai to Kunshan, and it was one of the sections above the ground. I've moved around 100 miles, so I'm definitely out of number 003 city. Luo Feng checked the positioning system on his tactical communications watch. Indeed, he's already around 50 miles away from Shanghai City. I'll just get on the highway and go back to the headquarters city. Who knows what other monsters will appear in this subway tunnel? And I don't want to go to some Kunshan City. Who knows what kind of place Kunshan City is? Luo Feng was full of smiles and was in a good mood. How could it not be good? Since he already escaped from Shanghai City. Luo Feng smiled as he carried the dragon egg and battle uniform in his backpack and headed towards the highway shown on his tactical communications watch. Time to go home. Chapter 90. On the highway, wreckage and abandoned vehicles could often be seen. At this time, the sky was already dark. There was no moon today and very few stars. The weak starlight barely allowed people to make out the outline of the highway. In a certain section of the highway, a large bus crashed on the side of the highway. The 4 members of the Thunderbolt squad sat on the ground with their backs against the bus. The young master's training plan wasn't completely completed, but the young master's strength has indeed increased quite a bit, laughed the veteran named Lu. It's all right, but it's still quite far from my dad's requirements. The mixed youth, Li Wei, shook his head. Young master, for your age, your strength is already quite impressive, said the veteran named Lu. Kalong and Panya both nodded. Li Wei shook his head. Not enough, far from enough. There are quite a few intermediate-level warlords in Jiangnan City that are around 20 years old. My parents are both powerful war gods, so how could their son be weak? Oh yeah, Panya, that Luo Feng of the Fire Hammer Squad you mentioned before is only 19 this year, right? He's already a beginner-level warlord. I, the child of two great war gods, can't even compare to a bumpkin? Yes, yes, responded the veteran named Lu. Young master, you're the strongest, the white brute Ka Long also added. Li Wei slightly smiled. The Tiger Fang captain, Panya, sighed. Indeed, compared to young master, that Luo Feng isn't even a fart. However, this Luo Feng is a huge problem for me. The Fire Hammer Squad and my Tiger Fang Squad are enemies, and I'm the only one left in the Tiger Fang Squad. The Fire Hammer Squad will definitely come for me. The others are fine, but this Luo Feng's rate of improvement is too shocking. He just became a fighter not long ago, and he's already a beginner-level warlord. I'm sure he'll grow to become stronger than me. When that time comes, I'll definitely die. Sighed Panya. Indeed, Panya was regretful. Back then, he met Luo Feng at the resupplying base. Zhang Zhe who also suggested killing Luo Feng, but Panya was worried about alerting the enemy, so he didn't do anything. But who would have thought that after that, Luo Feng's strength would increase dramatically and earn the nickname Madman. News of him killing over 10,000 monsters in 2 months, and almost all of them were high-level soldier level. This crazy news has already spread throughout Jiangnan City's fighter circle. Sadly, Panya didn't see Luo Feng again until number 003 city. Aren't you going to join a new warrior squad later? Li Wei, the mixed-blood youth, said. Yeah, but the Fire Hammer Squad won't be able to forget this grudge. Who knows when they'll stab me in the back? Panya had a bitter expression on his face. He could not forget how they had dealt with the Fire Hammer Squad in the past. With his current strength, if he were to be shot by a sniper while he was defenseless, he would most likely die. Panya looked towards the mixed youth Li Wei and said, Young master, if you have the chance to use your Underground Alliance's information network to find out where Luo Feng is in the wilderness, can you let me know? Sure, no problem, Li Wei said forthrightly. Elder Lu and the white man looked at each other. Earlier, Panya had pretended to be worried. They could tell that Panya's goal was to ask the young master to use some of his power. However, after all, the two of them were just bodyguard. They were too lazy to care about these things. And these past few days, Panya really knew how to suck up to the old veteran named Lu and the white man. Plus, Panya's squad suffered heavy losses, so helping them wasn't a big deal. It's getting late, let's get some rest. We still have to travel tomorrow morning, said the old veteran named Lu. Immediately, the 4 members of the Thunderbolt squad began to rest. It was different from summer. In winter, most martial artists' squads naturally rested at night, while they traveled during the day. Summer is hot, so they rest during the day to avoid the sun and travel during the night when it's cool. Deep into the night, the members of the Thunderbolt squad were either sitting cross-legged or lying on the ground. All of them were resting. However, other than the young master, the other 3 could only rest with their eyes closed. They didn't dare to fall asleep. In the wilderness, a monster might appear at any time. If they were eaten by a monster in their sleep, that would be a waste. Panya, the old veteran named Lu, and the white man opened their eyes at almost the same time. They all heard some movement. That was the sound of footsteps. Suddenly, a shadow passed by the bus. This shadow actually turned around. The passing fighter, Panya, the old veteran named Lu, and the white man looked at each other. How did I meet them? Luo Feng wanted to curse the heavens. Originally, he wanted to happily return home, but who would have thought that the 4 members of the Thunderbolt squad were hiding behind the bus and sleeping? Because the bus was blocking his way, he didn't even see these 4 people. By the time he walked past the bus and noticed them, it was already too late. Luo Feng, yelled Panya as his eyes flashed. Truly. One can wear out iron shoes in fruitless searching, only to find it by chance. This Luo Feng that they've been thinking about day and night, this Luo Feng actually appeared in front of them all by himself. Oh, so it's that Luo Feng. I've seen you before. The mixed youth, young Master Li Wei, who had just woken up, also stood up and coldly looked at Luo Feng. Li Wei wasn't an idiot. He already knew that the Tiger Fang captain, Pan Ye, wanted to kill this Luo Feng. And now that Luo Feng came knocking on his door, does the result even need to be said? Li Wei's gaze towards Luo Feng contained a bit of pity. Luo Feng, there's no door to hell, you barged in yourself. The Tiger Fang captain Pan Ye glanced at the old man surnamed Lu, and the old man surnamed Lu imperceptibly nodded his head. Previously, Pan Ye had asked Senior Lu and the others to help him destroy the Firehammer Squad, but at that time, they hadn't been able to find the Firehammer Squad. Captain Hu Feng. Luo Feng's face slightly changed. Barging into the gates of hell? Even a fool could tell that Pan Ye wanted to kill him. However, if it weren't for the three people beside him, it would be hard to say who would kill who. However, the three people next to him were very troublesome. The old man surnamed Lu and the White Brute were both advanced-level warlords, and although the young master was weak, his background was terrifying. There were several war gods standing behind him. Three of you. Luo Feng looked towards the old veteran named Lu, the White Brute and the mixed youth. This Tiger Fang Captain Pan Ye has a grudge against my Firehammer Squad. I'm sure the three of you can tell what he wants to do now. The country had a law that prohibited martial artists from killing each other. Of course, this is the wilderness, so the country can't control it. I'm not asking the three of you to stop him. I'm just asking the three of you to watch on the side and not interfere. Let me fight to the death with this Pan Ye. Luo Feng looked towards the mixed youth. This young master must be young Master Li Wei. Even though I've never talked to young Master Li Wei before, I've heard of young Master Li Wei's great name. I only found out from my friends in the Firehammer Squad that it was young Master Li Wei that day. If I knew earlier, I would have given the twin-headed black-striped snake to you. Luo Feng lowered his stance and flattered this young Master Li Wei. Okay, young Master Li Wei slightly smiled, enjoying the flattery of a genius fighter. As long as Li Wei and the other two don't interfere, then things will be easy. Even if I kill Pan Ye in a direct battle. With Li Wei and the other two's status, they probably won't bother with me, Luo Feng hoped in his heart. Pan Ye immediately glanced at the old veteran named Lu. He's been risking his life these past few days, and he made an agreement to wipe out the Firehammer Squad. Who are you? How can you be so rude? Yelled the old veteran named Lu. Senior, Luo Feng lowered his stance. Who's your senior? The old veteran named Lu glared. Pan Ye's two teammates were probably killed by you, right? Since you killed Pan Ye's teammates, you deserve to die. Li Wei also slightly smiled on the side, as he prepared to watch his subordinate kill Luo Feng. Luo Feng is a genius? Killing a genius is a very interesting thing. What do I do? What do I do? Luo Feng's face was terrible. I can definitely kill Pan Ye alone, but if the other three join in, then it'll be troublesome. Especially that young Master Li Wei. If they really attack, should I resist or not? If I don't resist, then I'll die. If I resist, even if I can kill all of them, the consequences of killing Li Wei will be terrifying, but if I don't kill him, Li Wei's revenge will be even more terrifying. Many thoughts flashed through Luo Feng's mind. The old veteran named Lu, the White Brute, and Pan Ye split up and closed in. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Luo Feng threw 3 throwing knives towards Pan Ye, then turned around and ran. Dang, dang, dang. Pan Ye's triangular blades swiftly blocked 2 throwing knives and dodged the third one. Chase. The old veteran named Lu, the White Brute, and Pan Ye instantly exploded with speed in an attempt to kill Luo Feng. However, at this time, the two throwing knives that Panya blocked and fell to the ground almost instantly shot towards the heads of the old veteran named Lu and the White Brute. Because the old veteran named Lu and the White Brute both had their backs to the two throwing knives, and Luo Feng's spiritual force controlled their speed. Throwing knives are even faster than sniper bullets. Before the sonic boom even arrived, the throwing knives, which are several times faster than the speed of sound, had already arrived. Pu! Pu! Two black flowing lights instantly pierced through the heads of the old veteran named Lu and the White Brute from behind. With two pring sounds, their heads directly exploded. The two powerful advanced level warlords were instantly killed without any defense. What? Panya was shocked. The throwing knife that pierced through the old veteran named Lu's head turned in an arc and instantly pierced towards Panya. A frontal attack. Sadly, Panya's strength was only at the intermediate level warlord level. He desperately waved the triangular blade in his hand and barely grazed the edge of the black flowing light. However, the black flowing light trembled. Poochie! Panya's skull was directly sliced off. All of this happened too quickly. The mixed youth Li Wei, who was smiling as he watched, couldn't help but to widen his eyes when he saw the heads of the old veteran named Lu and the White Brute explode. He immediately pressed on his communication watt. Poochie! The third throwing knife that Panya dodged directly slashed across Li Wei's neck. A large head, a head that was worth an astronomical price, flew into the air just like that. Blood spurted out from the severed neck like a fountain. In an instant, the 4 members of the Thunderbolt squad were killed. Even a rabbit bites when it's anxious. You really think I don't dare to kill you? Fuck, it's just my war god dad. Even if I'm found to be the killer. At worst, I'll just reveal my identity as a spirit reader, lose my freedom, and join the core of the dojo of Limit. Also, I don't even know if your dad will be able to find me. Luo Feng's eyes were red and flashed with madness. He immediately put away his throwing knife, and at the same time, his entire body became a blur as he ran out of the highway and into the barren field filled with weed. Chapter 91. Luo Feng was like an arrow as he swiftly flew through the wild grass. His speed reached an astonishing level. He used his spiritual force to lighten the load, and at the same time, he used his spiritual force to push the shield behind him. This made Luo Feng's speed much faster than when he was running barehanded. Run! Run at full speed. Run without stopping. I have to escape the scene of the massacre as fast as I can. With Li Wei's background, his family probably has some special technology to find out about Li Wei's death. When that happens, they might use satellites to investigate and even record the surroundings. If I'm recorded, then I'll be in trouble. Luo Feng doesn't know much about satellites, nor does he understand the theory behind them. However, when the war god Lu Gang died and the rat tide broke out, it was recorded by the satellite. Many people even used some special channels to observe the video. Confirm Li Wei's death. Confirm Li Wei's location. Use satellites to record. All these steps will definitely take some time. I need to run as far away as possible in the shortest amount of time. Also, flying through the wild grass will probably make it harder to record. Luo Feng's eyes were red as he ran. If he didn't use his spiritual force, Luo Feng wouldn't be able to reach 100 meters per second in 1 second. But right now, he's running at around 150 meters per second. 150 meters per second in 6 seconds is close to 900 meters per second. 60 seconds, 1 minute, is 9 kilometers. He can run 45 kilometers in 5 minutes. This is an extremely terrifying speed. Usually, only an intermediate-level warlord can explode with this speed. However, Luo Feng didn't dare to relax at all. He can't forget the time when the Thunderbolt squad was surrounded by a monster horde. Not long after, the 2 war gods appeared to save them. This means that young Master Li Wei's background is indeed astonishing. Luckily, I'm a member of the Dojo of Limits, so what if he's dead? My parents and little brother all live in the dojo of Limit's fighter sector. Luo Feng wasn't worried about his parents' safety at all. Actually, fighters from all over the world, as long as they join the Thunder Dojo or the Dojo of Limits and move to the dojo's fighter sector, they don't have to worry about their family's safety at all. At that time, the Blood Saber incident had occurred. An advanced level war god Bloodblade had a grudge against a fighter from the Dojo of Limits called Feng Yu. However, this Feng Yu died in the wilderness a long time ago. Filled with resentment, Bloodblade actually killed all of Feng Yu's family, parents, children, daughters-in-law, grandchildren, kill them all. This immediately provoked the anger of the crowd. It was common for warriors to die while wandering in the wilderness. The relatives of these fighters will be protected by all the fighters of the Dojo of Limits. Because today others died. Perhaps tomorrow they would also die. Naturally, everyone worked together to protect the families of the martial artists. So, whoever dared to make a move against the family of the dojo would be the enemy of the entire dojo. When the news of Feng Yu's relative's death spread, all the martial artists in the Dojo of Limits in the world were furious. A martial artist's family was their reverse scale. Killing one was equivalent to becoming the enemy of all the martial artists in the Dojo of Limits. After that, the strongest fighter in the world, Hong, appeared. After finding out that the murderer was Bloodblade, he used the intelligence network of every country in the world and the HR Alliance to search for the advanced level war god who escaped into the wilderness. After that, in the Dojo of Limits world headquarters, there was an investigator whose position was second only to the head Hong. This investigator was also an existence surpassing the war god level. With the investigator leading a total of 36 war god level fighters, they chased after Bloodblade. In the end, Bloodblade killed himself. He was afraid that after being caught by the Dojo of Limits, he would be tortured inhumanely. After that incident, because of this incident, the two founders of the two super dojos in the world, Dojo of Limits and Thunder Dojo, Hong and Thunder God, held a memorial ceremony for Feng Yu's dead relatives that was broadcasted live around the world. During this memorial ceremony, these two powerful fighters also made their most furious statements. Harming the family of any fighter is equivalent to becoming the enemy of all the fighters in the Dojo of Limits and the Thunder Dojo. And in this memorial ceremony, the 5 great countries of the world, all the headquarter cities, and even the HR Alliance all sent representatives to respond to these two powerful fighters. From then on, no one dared to harm the family of a fighter. The country prohibits fighters from killing each other. However, everyone knows that 1. The wilderness can't be monitored. 2. Fighters often live on the edge of life and death, so killing each other is a common thing. So, when fighters kill each other, every organization turns a blind eye to it, unless someone has enough evidence, such as a video. Only then will the dojo and the government take action. Otherwise, they won't care. However, once someone takes it out on their family, then that's basically the same as becoming the enemy of all the powerful fighters in the world. I've entered number 023 city. Luo Feng let out a sigh of relief after rushing from the highway to the nearest city, number 023. This number 023 city is the Suzhou city from before the Grand Nirvana period. This city is pretty big, so there must be a lot of fighters inside. Even if I stay here, I won't stand out. Luo Feng let out a sigh of relief. Night. On the highway, fresh blood splattered on the bus. The bodies of the 4 members of the Thunderbolt squad also fell. 10 seconds after the mixed youth, Li Wei died. Beep. The battle uniform that Li Wei's headless body was wearing slightly vibrated at the chest area, and a message was immediately sent out. Jiangnan Headquarter City, Main Sector, the second most luxurious sector in China, and the first most luxurious sector in Jiangnan Headquarter City, Jiangnan Mountain Water Sector. Jiangnan Mountain Water Sector. This was the most luxurious sector in the main sector. There were mountains and rivers that were preserved and not destroyed. When Jiangnan headquarters city was built, most of the hills were flattened to fill in some low-lying areas, and high-rise residential buildings were built. Only this area, which spanned several kilometers, occupied a vast area, had beautiful hills, waterfalls, and lakes that had been artificially generated. This made it the dream place of countless tycoons and government officials. This place can't be bought with just money, nor can it be bought with just power. After all, China has a total of 6 headquarter cities. And in the 6 headquarter cities, this type of beautiful area can be counted on one's fingers. This is the number 1 sector in Jiangnan headquarter city, and number 2 in all of China. Jiangnan Mountain Water Sector, Hua Yao Mountain Peak Villa. Hazy starlight covered the entire mountain peak. Hua Hua! The sound of a waterfall came from afar. On the rooftop of the villa, a figure wearing a dark blue loose suit was sitting cross-legged, practicing martial arts. His long hair was loose, and his cold face, as if it was carved out of stone, made people feel a cold aura even with his eyes closed. His entire body had a murderous aura that made people's hearts palpitate. He is the world's most famous fighter of this generation, the advanced level war god Li Yao, nicknamed Vulture. Beep beep beep! An ear-piercing sound suddenly came from the seemingly normal watch on his wrist. Li Yao suddenly opened his eyes, and they flashed like lightning. Ah Wei! Li Yao's cold face, which was like stone, revealed an expression of shock and anger. Connect to Ah Wei's 2 bodyguards, Li Yao spoke into his watch. His watch was the most advanced product of the HR Alliance, and it wasn't even sold in the current market. The 2 bodyguards are also dead? Li Yao's eyes faintly flashed with a cold light. Whoosh! Li Yao's entire body immediately turned into a blur, and he dashed into the 3rd floor of the villa. This 3rd floor had over a dozen rooms, and one of them was an extremely large audiovisual room. A blurry figure condensed and stood in the audiovisual room. Open! Entering fighter search mode. Following Li Yao's order, a large device at the edge of the audiovisual room immediately shot out a hazy light. The light gathered in the center of the audiovisual room, forming a 3D projection. Mr. Li Yao, a figure appeared in the 3D projection. It was a silver-haired old man in a black suit. The old man in the black suit looked at Li Yao. Actually, at the same time as the 3D projection, the 3D projection device also recorded Li Yao's image and projected it into the audiovisual room of another target. Confirm the coordinates of my son Li Wei. Li Yao's face was full of murderous intent. Search for the location of war gods within 100 miles. There are no war gods within 100 miles of Li Wei, said the old man in the black suit. How is that possible? It hasn't even been half a minute. Li Yao's expression slightly changed. With his son's battle uniform's signal device, it would only send back a message 10 seconds after his heart stopped beating. By the time Li Yao started searching, it hadn't even been 30 seconds. With the speed of war gods, even if they exceed the speed of sound and reach 400 meters per second, 30 seconds is less than 30 miles. How could they not be found? From Li Yao's point of view, with his son's bodyguards, those 2 advanced-level warlords, they would have died before they could deliver the message. The killer should be a war god-level expert. How? Li Yao didn't dare hesitate and immediately ordered, search within 100 miles, all advanced-level warlords. Searching for war gods can be done through the Palace of War Gods sharing system. Searching for warlords requires the Alliance's S-rank authorization, said the old man in the black suit. The black-suited old man said, actually, the HR Alliance had their own methods of finding the locations of warrior and warrior-level fighters. But the method the HR Alliance uses is a bit sinister. The tactical communications watches they sell have a back door. Because tactical communications watches can be used for bank transfers, etc., they are connected to each person's fighter card and ID number. Through the tactical communications watch, they can naturally determine each person's location. But the fact that there's a back door in tactical communications watches can't be made public. If it was made public, it would be boycotted by tens of thousands of fighters. Although the HR Alliance has monopolized the tactical communications watch business a long time ago, they still don't want to provoke the public. So, to use a back door to search for fighters' locations requires an S-rank authorization. In the entire Underground Alliance, only the very top, have the right to do this. An advanced level war god, Li Yao, doesn't have this kind of authority. Boom. An explosion came from afar. A figure instantly charged into the listening room. It was a blonde-haired Caucasian lady. However, her delicate face seemed a bit twisted at this moment. The dress she wore was also a bit damaged from flying so fast. She was at a party before, and she found out about her son's death at the same time as Li Yao. Yao. The beautiful lady's eyes were red. Can we search now? Li Yao stared at the black-suited old man in the 3D hologram. The black-suited old man was looking at the beautiful lady. This beautiful lady is the younger sister of the current head of one of the 9 core families of the HR Alliance, the Paulinus family. At the same time, she is also an advanced level war god, known as Scorpion Vanina Paulinus. Right now, she's the CEO of the China region of the HR Alliance. Out of all the members of the HR Alliance in China, her position is ranked 3rd and she has an S-rank authorization. Chapter 92. Search, ordered the blonde Vanina. Yes, a gigantic virtual map immediately appeared in front of the old man in the black suit. In the middle of the map was a red dot, indicating Li Wei's location. 6 dots of light appeared within a 100-mile radius of Li Wei. Within a 100-mile radius, there are a total of 6 advanced level warlord fighters. Display everyone's information and their distance from Li Wei, ordered Li Yao coldly. Beep beep. The virtual screen slightly vibrated twice and a large amount of information appeared on both ends. 6 advanced level warlords. Other than 2 of them being Wei's bodyguards, the other 4 are all in number 023 city? Li Yao's face was ugly. In reality, he only had 4 suspects. After all, the other 2 are already dead, and of these 4, the closest one is 20 kilometers away. With the speed of an advanced level warlord, it only took him about a minute to order a search. It's unlikely for them to be 20 kilometers away. Yao. Just who killed Wei? Even though the blonde woman's Chinese was a bit awkward, it was still quite fluent. Search for intermediate-level warlords. Beginner-level warlords, said Li Yao as he clenched his teeth. How could it be intermediate and beginner-level warlords? The blonde woman's face was full of anxiety. With Kalong's strength, how could they be killed by beginner-level warlords and beginner-level warlords? They didn't even have time to report? Shut up. Li Yao couldn't help but to yell. The blonde woman held back and didn't say anything. Within a 100-mile radius, there are a total of 21 intermediate-level warlords, replied the old man in the black suit. On the virtual map, 21 light dots of light immediately appeared. Beginner-level warlords within a 100-mile radius, 58 in total. The light dots representing beginner-level warlords once again appeared on the map. Li Yao's words seemed to come out through his teeth. Record the information of these warlords, including the distance from Li Wei. Also, search for all the warrior levels and record them. Send them to me and Vanina. Yes, the old man in the black suit slightly bowed. Li Yao glanced at the large number of flickering light spots on the map. They were densely packed and numerous. Obviously, compared to the warrior level, the number of warrior-level martial artists was more than 10 times that of the warrior level. These hundreds of dots of light were indeed dazzling. And within these hundreds of dots of light, there was Luo Feng's. Although rumor has it that Luo Feng has the strength of a beginner-level warlord. However, according to Luo Feng's battle record as a fighter, he's only an advanced-level warrior. Rank evaluation depended on one's battle record. Use the satellite to capture Li Wei's location, Vanina interrupted. Because of the weather, the effect won't be very good. The final results will be analyzed and perfected by the experts, and will be transmitted to the two of you in half an hour," the black-suited old man said. Actually, satellite recording and other things weren't as mysterious and powerful as ordinary people thought. Actually, there were still many limitations. The weather, in particular, had a huge impact on the filming. Mr. Li Yao, President Vanina, there are 6 advanced warlords, 21 intermediate warlords, 58 beginner warlords, and 426 warriors. All the information has been sent to the two of you, the black-suited old man said. Li Yao and Vanina lowered their heads. On their watches, the pictures and information of each person flashed, including Luo Feng's. Of course, as a warrior-level member, Luo Feng was very inconspicuous. Only 3 minutes later, on the lawn of the hilltop villa that was shrouded in starlight, 2 dark blue saucer-shaped fighter jets took off and quickly rose into the air. Beep. Signal identification. Approved. Only then did the 2 dark blue saucer-shaped fighter jets fly out of the city's defense system. If they charged out without the signal identification, these 2 fighter jets would instantly be pierced by lasers and turned into balls of fire. In the cockpit, Li Yao and Vanina were both wearing combat suits and carrying their own weapons. Both of them looked gloomy and awful. The pilot of the fighter jet and the other 6 warlord-level underlings didn't dare to make a sound. They all knew that something horrifying happened. The only son of the couple known as Vulture Scorpion was killed. This couple isn't just any ordinary person. Whether it's in the War God Circle or in the Underground Alliance, they have an astonishing amount of power and influence. Yao, could it be a Horde Leader monster? Frowned Vanina. Why would a Horde Leader monster appear on the highway? Even if they encountered a Horde Leader monster, why didn't they have time to send a message? The muscles on Li Yao's face twitched. His eyes flashed with a cold light. At this moment, he seemed to have lost everything and became even colder and crazier like a lone wolf. I've already asked Wang Tong, who is in 003 City, to go check the scene. When he gets there, we'll have a rough idea. Okay, Vanina nodded slightly. Late at night in winter, the wind was bone-chilling. On the highway, the blood of the 4 corpses had already turned dark red. 2 figures, one tall and one skinny, were carefully investigating. They were Wang Tong and Li Can, the 2 war gods who received Li Yao's request and hurried over from 003 City. Xiao! Xiao! 2 dark blue streamers quickly flew over from the distant sky. Soon, they arrived above the highway and then slowly landed. Hua! Before the fighter jet landed, the cabin door of one of the fighter jets had already opened. 2 figures directly jumped down from the air. It was Li Yao and Vanina, Vulture, Scorpion, Shadowblade, and Bear of Vigor. These 4 people have worked together many times. It was very common for war gods to help each other. Vulture, my condolences, Wang Tong sighed. What's the conclusion? Li Yao tried his best to make his tone sound better, but it was still full of anger. At this time, Wang Tong didn't care about Li Yao's tone. He pointed at the 4 corpses and said, I can only say it's somewhat similar to a spirit reader's method. Spirit reader? Li Yao and Vanina both frowned. Of course, we can't rule out the possibility that the enemy purposely set up the scene to divert attention, Wang Tong added. At this time, a few fighter guards jumped down from one of the 2 dark blue fighter jet. On the other fighter jet, 5 people wearing dark gray clothes and carrying various equipment boxes jumped down. Of the 5, 2 were women, 1 was Asian, and the other was Caucasian. At the same time, there was also a white-haired old man. No one else is allowed to enter the scene, the white-haired old man ordered. Begin, immediately. The other 4 people opened the equipment boxes and took out all kinds of equipment. They began to carry out the most precise investigation of the battle scene. Time passed by minute. Li Yao and Vanina waited in silence. Beside them, Wang Tong and Li Can glanced at each other and sighed to themselves. Vulture and Scorpion are both extremely famous figures in the global war god circle. Other than existences that have surpassed the war god level, no one else can suppress this couple. With the couple's vicious personalities, how could they not take revenge for their only son's death? Sir, madam, the white-haired old man bowed respectfully. There's a result. Please come and take a look. Li Yao, Vanina, Wang Tong, and Li Han all walked over. A laptop was placed there. On the screen, there was already a simulated video. The white-haired old man said, "This old fighter and the white fighter should have died at the same instant. The way of death is the same, shot through their heads from the back. This middle-aged fighter and young Master Li Wei should have died at about the same time." A bit later than the old fighter and the white fighter, as he spoke, the white-haired old man clicked on the simulated video. Instantly, a simulated video appeared. 2 streams of light shot through the heads of the old man, named Lu, and the white brawny man. Then, 2 streams of light passed by Pan Ye and young Master Li Wei, respectively cutting off their skulls and heads. Yes, Wang Tong nodded. I also checked. When the old fighter and the white fighter died, they probably didn't have time to react. As for Li Wei and the middle-aged man, their eyes were filled with fear. They clearly saw it. The white-haired old man continued. Check the surroundings. There definitely wasn't a horde leader monster that passed by. Based on our judgment of the surrounding footprints, the position of the deceased, and the footprints, they ignored the sneak attack from the back. The white-haired old man clicked on the video, and a simulated human body appeared on the screen. The old fighter, the white fighter, and the middle-aged fighter should have surrounded and killed a point in front of them at the same time. Li Yao and Vanina both squatted next to Li Wei's corpse. Li Wei's head and body were already connected together, but the fear in his eyes was still there. I've checked. Within 30 seconds of Wei's death, there wasn't a single war god within 100 miles. 1 minute after Wei's death, there were 4 advanced-level warlords within 100 miles. The closest one was 23 kilometers away. Li Yao said in a low voice, "So, the culprit must have hidden his strength. Because the strength rating is based on battle record. Even if some powerful fighters killed powerful monsters, they would push the credit to their companions. This way they wouldn't have any battle records, so naturally their rating would be low. One possibility. The culprit is a normal fighter with a low battle record, but his true strength is war god level. The second possibility. The culprit is a spirit reader, but he hid his identity as a spirit reader, based on the fact that spirit power is 2 levels higher than body fitness. Then this person is most likely a low-level warlord or intermediate-level warlord. Of course, we can't rule out the possibility that he's very good at disguising himself as a warrior level," Li Yao said in a low voice. "There's a third possibility. The culprit is my enemy, a war god level fighter. He didn't wear a tactical communications watch, so I couldn't find him. War gods are very well informed. Many of them know the secret of the tactical communications watch, but they're too lazy to publicize it. They're only doing some secret things, so they don't carry tactical communications watches." Silence. Beside Li Wei's corpse, only Li Yao was talking. Vanina's eyes were filled with tears. Wang Tong and Li Kan were standing far away. "No matter who killed my son, I won't let him go. Announce the news of Wei's death to the world. Let every fighter know." Vanina clenched her teeth. "I, Vanina Paulinus, will take out all the money I've earned over the years and offer a reward of 100 billion Chinese dollars. If anyone knows who killed my son, as long as there's enough evidence, 100 billion will go to him. I don't believe that the culprit has no family or friends. As long as he tells others about it, as long as he talks in his sleep, as long as he gets drunk and talks about it, as long as he reveals this secret before committing the crime, then, no matter how good his friends are, they won't tell on him in front of a huge reward. 100 billion bounty. I'll make sure he can't sleep in peace, afraid that he'll talk in his sleep. I'll make sure he doesn't dare to get drunk again. I'll make sure he lives in fear every day. Vanina clenched her teeth. Wang Tong and Li Can on the side both took a deep breath. 100 billion? This huge bounty is enough to invite an invincible existence that surpasses the war god level. You have to know, even the legendary king-level monsters don't have a price of 100 billion. This is an astronomical number. Once you have this much money, you can almost instantly enjoy countless pleasures in the world. Probably all kinds of intelligence networks, all kinds of forces, would be willing to find the culprit in front of this huge bounty. Chapter 93. Money moves people's hearts, and an astronomical amount of wealth is enough to make people go crazy. 100 billion. Ruthless Li Can couldn't help but to let out a sigh of relief. Even I'm tempted. Wang Tong also shook his head and sighed. No wonder she's the HR Alliance's executive director of the Chinese region, the sister of the head of the Polonazbo family, one of the 9 great families. Money is money in the entire world. There aren't many advanced level war gods that have such a huge amount of wealth. Yes, killing horde leaders is worth a lot of money if you sell them. However, are horde leaders idiots? They have the intelligence of a normal human. Once they feel danger and feel that they have no chance of winning, they will choose to run. Once a horde leader chooses to run, it will definitely order tens of thousands of monsters to stop the war gods. Maybe they won't be able to stop them, but it will affect the war gods' speed. That's why killing horde leaders is extremely difficult. The stronger they are, the harder it is. So normally, advanced level war gods kill medium level horde leaders, intermediate level war gods kill low level horde leaders, beginner level war gods kill high level war gods, and beginner level war gods kill high level war gods. For example, Wang Tong and Li Can's hunt for the steel-armored dragon ended in failure. And monsters aren't endless. The stronger they are, the fewer there are. For example, Luo Feng's Fire Hammer squad killed a large amount of commander-level monsters in half a month's time in that small sector. However, after that, it became much harder to find commander-level monsters. Because the amount of commander-level monsters in this area decreased. That's not the worst part. The worst part is, if you kill too many commander-level monsters, it's easy to attract the horde leader. Of course, human fighters usually notice danger early on and run for their lives. However, all of this shows one thing. Earning money from killing monsters isn't easy. Most importantly, war gods spend a lot of money. Weapons, battle uniforms, which one of them isn't expensive? The price of top-notch secret manuals was even more frighteningly high. Many war gods even borrow money from banks. There's no helping it, war gods spend money on too many things. For example, if an advanced level war god fights a high-level horde leader, then the safest thing to do is to buy an SS-grade uniform. After all, the 9th series, S-rank combat suit could only resist the bite of most S-rank high lords. It wasn't 100% guaranteed. SS-class combat uniform, SS-class weapon, which one of them wasn't priceless? SS-grade secret manuals, and even the ultimate secret manual, 9-stage Thunderblade, and so on, were also shockingly expensive. If all of them were equipped with top-class equipment, just how many middle-grade horde lords would they need to kill? This is something most advanced level war gods can't do. Not to mention, there were some treasures with special abilities in the war god palace. The prices of those treasures were frighteningly high. Many war gods from all over the world have taken loans from banks. This isn't a lie. Of course, there are also a few who are extremely rich. For example, those with special abilities, such as war god level spirit readers, war gods with shocking strength, or war gods with powerful backgrounds. For example, the children of the strongest person in the world, Hong. They were rich because they had a father. The HR Alliance was an alliance of the world's top financial groups and superfamilies. They controlled over half of the world's economy and infiltrated into almost every industry. Their wealth was equally shocking. Vanina Paulinus, as the chairman of the HR Alliance in China, one of the top executives of the HR Alliance, and also the younger sister of the current head of the Paulinus family. Does her wealth even need to be mentioned? Her wealth mainly came from the HR Alliance and her family, not from hunting monsters. Even her husband, Li Yao, couldn't compare to her. Jiangnan headquarters city, dojo of limit. Wearing a black training uniform, Zhuge Tao sat cross-legged in the training room. As time went by, a sliver of morning light slowly seeped in through the window. Zhuge Tao opened his eyes. "Turn it on," said Zhuge Tao. Immediately, a camera shot out light and projected a huge image onto the wall. Zhuge Tao has a habit. Every morning, he would watch China's TV station's morning news. From there, he would learn about what's happening around the world. The announcer's voice echoed throughout the training room. "What?" Zhuge Tao froze as he stared blankly at the morning news. 100 billion? Zhuge Tao blinked twice. 100 billion! Zhuge Tao suddenly stood up. His heart couldn't help but speed up. This amount of wealth was too ridiculous. As one of the 4 giants of Jiangnan headquarters city's dojo of limits, even he couldn't help but tremble. Vulture and Scorpion, it's actually them. That's right, which normal war god would be able to take out 100 billion? Zhuge Tao shook his head in amazement. Plus, this morning news is for everyone in the country. In other words, this news isn't limited to fighters, even normal people know about it. The HR Alliance's influence sure is big to be able to broadcast this news on China's TV station. 100 billion. Even Zhuge Tao was moved. After all, it seemed like he, Zhuge Tao, would give a few geniuses and powerful fighters some benefit. But in reality, most of it was done with the privileges he had in the dojo. He only needed to take out a very small amount of money. "Enter the House of Limits, War God Level Fighter Forum," Zhuge Tao ordered. Immediately, the scene on the screen changed and entered the War God Level Fighter Forum. Logically speaking, as an advanced level warlord, he doesn't have the qualifications, but as a manager, he does. TSK, the entire forum sure is lively. Looks like South America, North America, Europe, Africa, fighters from all over the world are all excited. Zhuge Tao laughed. But this happened in China. I'm afraid this huge bounty will end up in the hands of us Chinese. 100 billion, it's like throwing a fat sheep into a pack of wolves. Indeed, the entire world is in an uproar because of this huge bounty. Even existences surpassing the war god level have to gasp a few times. Even war god level fighters are moved. One can only imagine how shocked normal people are. Normal people are still struggling to find a place to live in. 100 million is an astronomical number to them, let alone 100 billion. Uproar. The entire world is in an uproar. Almost every information network can't help but investigate this matter and find the person behind it. Number 023 city used to be a large city with a population of several million. To most fighters, number 003 city was too dangerous, so number 023 city attracted a large amount of fighters. On the 8th floor of a certain 12-story apartment building in the western district of this ancient city. Ho-hoo! The wind howled outside and snowflakes fluttered. The cold air continuously rushed into the room and the ground was bone-chilling. Luo Feng sat cross-legged on a broken mat and lightly wiped his throwing knives. In his mind, the shocking astronomical bounty message he received from his tactical communications watch appeared. Who would have thought that they would spend so much money to put a bounty on me? Even I want to report myself. Luo Feng lightly placed a throwing knife on the ground and took out another throwing knife to continue wiping. 100 billion. However, Li Wei's parents aren't idiots. They wouldn't give money just because someone reports a vague message. I need to have enough evidence. Evidence? Luo Feng doesn't think that anyone in this world has evidence that he killed Li Wei. To prevent himself from being captured by the satellite, he instantly rushed into the bushes after killing Li Wei and the others. Unless I'm so unlucky that someone was hiding beside the highway and happened to record me and my face. Luo Feng felt that the probability of this wasn't higher than finding a needle in a haystack. Actually, Luo Feng isn't afraid of anything. The only thing he's worried about is the members of the Fire Hammer Squad. This bounty clearly states the identities and strengths of the other 3 people who died besides Li Wei. Moreover, the bounty also said, the culprit is very likely a fighter with the strength of a war god, or a spirit reader. Luo Feng's face sunk. If the captain, Wei Tai, Wei Qing, and Brother Chen see this, it would be hard for them not to think of me. Without a doubt, the other 4 members of the Fire Hammer Squad would easily think of Luo Feng when they see this bounty. First of all, Luo Feng stayed in number 003 city to kill the Tiger Fang Squad. And one of the 4 people who died was the captain of the Tiger Fang Squad, Pan Ye. Secondly, the bounty also states that the killer is either a war god level fighter or a spirit reader. And only the members of the Fire Hammer Squad know that Luo Feng is a spirit reader. Combining these 2 points, it is indeed easy to guess. And, indeed, this was the case. After the astronomical bounty was announced, the other 4 members of the Fire Hammer Squad were indeed shocked. They all guessed Luo Feng. Guessing doesn't mean we have evidence. Luo Feng shook his head. The Fire Hammer Squad guessed Luo Feng. Some of the war gods might have guessed that Vulture and Scorpion had a grudge against them. In short, everything was groundless. None of them had sufficient evidence. Last time when Li Wei was in danger, Li Wei's parents instantly found out the location of the 2 closest war gods and asked for their help. Luo Feng frowned. In other words, Li Wei's parents have a certain amount of power and can instantly find the location of fighters within a certain range. If even the war god and the others could find him, I'm afraid it'll be even easier for the warrior level and warrior level. From Luo Feng's perspective, the difficulty of investigating a war god was much higher than investigating a warlord or warrior. They'll probably find out too. At that time, I wasn't far from the scene. Luo Feng frowned. This was very disadvantageous to him. Actually, Luo Feng didn't know that the war gods were able to find the positions of other war gods by using the Palace of War Gods sharing system. Most war gods can't find the positions of warlord and warrior level fighters. However, Luo Feng was lucky. Li Wei's parents did indeed detect a few hundred people around them. And Luo Feng was one of them. I should be one of the suspects, but because I'm weak, the degree of suspicion is very low. Luo Feng frowned, however. Captain, Brother Tai, Brother Qing, and Brother Chen, once one of them reveals that I stayed in number 003 city to kill the Tiger Fang Squad and the secret that I'm a spirit reader. Then, even though it's not 100% proof, Li Wei's parents will definitely make me the number 1 suspect. Suddenly, Luo Feng felt his wrist vibrate. He looked down at the display on his communicator watch. Captain Gao Feng's call? Luo Feng slightly frowned. Chapter 94. Why is the captain calling me at this time? The cold wind howled outside and snowflakes filled the sky. However, thoughts flashed through Luo Feng's mind. Finally, he took in a deep breath and said lightly, "Call back!" Beep, beep, beep. Hello, Luo Feng. Captain Gao Feng's voice carried over. Captain, what's up? Laughed Luo Feng. Gao Feng's voice lowered. Did you see that astronomical bounty? That's a full 100 billion, which would make countless fighters jealous. It even specifically states that the culprit might be a war god level fighter or a spirit reader. You better not reveal your identity as a spirit reader, or else you'll get into big trouble. Since our Fire Hammer Squad and the Tiger Fang Squad already have a grudge, and the Tiger Fang captain, Pan Ye, was one of the 4 people that died. Once your identity as a spirit reader is revealed, it'll be easy for people to suspect you. At that time, thousands of people will be watching you. No matter how careful you are, accidents will happen. I understand. However, since I didn't do it, what's there to be afraid of? However, Captain, this culprit is quite strong. He was able to make it so that the four of them didn't even have time to tell the couple about the identity of the culprit before they died. Impressive, Luo Feng couldn't help but to praise. It's indeed very powerful. Gao Feng also praised. Luo Feng continued, and Pan Ya's death is a good thing. Our Fire Hammer squad won't have any trouble in the future. Yeah, this is beneficial to us. I'm just reminding you to be careful, careful, and careful. After all, this matter involves too many people. I'll immediately remind Chen Gu and the others. Don't worry. If any of them dares to spread this news, I won't forgive them. Yeah, when are you returning to the headquarters city? The monster materials we hunted are still stored there. We'll wait for you to come back and decide what to do with them, Luo Feng smiled. Originally, I wanted to stay in the wilderness for a while, but since the Tiger Fang captain is dead, I have nothing else to do. I'll go back in 2 days. Yeah, see you later, Gao Feng's voice carried from the tactical communications watch. See you later, Luo Feng hung up and his expression immediately became serious. From the looks of it, the captain was very concerned about him and wanted to remind him. When he first heard the captain's words, he did feel a bit warm. However, if one were to carefully consider the entire matter, one would realize one thing. The other 4 members of the Fire Hammer squad would probably guess that he was the culprit. However, the 4 of them did not have sufficient evidence. What can the 4 of them do to make Luo Feng trust them? The best way to make me believe them is if they don't call me. If you don't call or communicate with me, you won't be able to find any conclusive evidence. Luo Feng creased his eyebrows, but the captain called me, seemingly concerned and comforting me. If I wasn't careful with the mental pressure from the 100 billion in front of someone who cares about me, I might just say it out loud. When Luo Feng thought of this, he couldn't help but feel fear. Indeed, a young man below the age of 20 who had just killed a great figure and received a sky-high bounty would normally be nervous. At this time, the concern of a senior who had a deep relationship with him would easily move this young man. In a moment of hot-headedness, he might even reveal the secret. Using all kinds of methods to interrogate me will only make me more vigilant. And this kind of concern can make people let down their guard. Once I reveal the secret, the captain might be using a recording device to record what I say. Luo Feng took in a deep breath, combined with the fact that I killed the Tiger Fang squad and my identity as a spirit reader. Combined with the fact that Li Wei's parents confirmed that I was one of the fighters near the scene of the crime, and finally, this recording, how can there be so many coincidences in this world? With so much evidence, it's almost 100% certain that the killer's identity is correct. Luo Feng took in a deep breath. Indeed, if he admits it himself, then he'll be in big trouble. Thankfully, he's been under pressure since he was young and worked hard to become a fighter. Under the long-term pressure, his mental fortitude isn't as weak as a young man below the age of 20. Time passed minute by minute and second by second. The snow was getting heavier and heavier. The sky and earth were covered in white, and the temperature dropped to a shocking level. Soon, it was already evening. In the dirty room, Luo Feng sat cross-legged. I received 2 calls today. One from the captain and one from Wei Qing. The captain was completely concerned, and Wei Qing, on the other hand, had a shocked look on his face. In the morning, the first thing Wei Qing said when he called was, F***ck, crazy, the captain told me before to be careful and not tell anyone that you're a spirit reader. You didn't kill those 4 people, right? Wei Qing's call and the captain's call both made Luo Feng suspicious. Of course, it was just suspicion. Maybe the captain really was just concerned about him, or maybe Wei Qing really thought of him as a brother, which was why he was so heartless. Humans are the hardest to see through. After all, there's no telling what's in a person's heart, and in front of a huge amount of money, brothers will kill each other, husbands and wives will turn against each other, fathers and sons will break off their relationships. I've seen these things way too many times on the internet. And this time, it's a huge amount of money of 100 billion. Luo Feng only used his watch to enter the internet and read some posts. He found out just how crazy the entire world is in front of this bounty. The night was even colder than the day. Luo Feng shrunk into a corner, but his heart was a bit cold. Ever since he started suspecting Captain Gao Feng and Wei Qing, Luo Feng's attitude started to change. In the past, he was very cheerful, just like a normal fighter. He was able to go through thick and thin with his brothers in the fighter squad, which made him very happy. He treated them as good brothers long ago. But now, do they treat me as a brother, or do they want to exchange me for a huge bounty? Maybe they didn't do it because they didn't have enough evidence. Luo Feng's gaze was cold. What am I thinking? I'm always suspecting. Luo Feng shook his head. He finally found out that even his attitude couldn't help but change under the huge bounty of 100 billion. He wasn't sure if other people would be moved by 100 billion, since it's 100 billion. So he's always suspicious. Even though Luo Feng knows that being suspicious isn't good, he can't control himself. Vanina Paulinus achieved her goal. Luo Feng unknowingly fell into all sorts of pressure brought by the 100 billion bounty. Stop thinking. Luo Feng immediately lowered his head and looked at his watch. He lightly pressed a button and started to look at the various messages on the tactical communications watch's screen. Suddenly, he flipped to the phone book. One by one, the names calmed Luo Feng down. Among these names, there was his good brother Wei Wen that he played with ever since he was still in diapers. I wonder how Wen is doing right now. Luo Feng couldn't help but to let out a smile as he recalled some of the interesting things he did with Wei Wen back then. In the phone book, there were quite a few names of his high school classmates. There were also the names of his friends from the dojo of Limit. There were the names of his parents and little brother. Dad, Mom, little brother. Luo Feng's gaze was gentle. No matter what, you'll all live well. I'll definitely cross this barrier. Suddenly, Luo Feng's gaze landed on a name, Su Xian. Su Xian's phone number. Back when he was chatting with Su Xian in the HR Alliance market, they exchanged numbers. However, after all this time, he never took the initiative to call her. Call Su Xian's number, said Luo Feng. For some reason, he made the call at this time. Maybe he was worried that one day, when his identity as the murderer is revealed, the Su family won't allow Su Xian to contact him anymore. Hello, Su Xian's voice carried from the tactical communications watch. Is this Luo Feng? Yeah, it's me. Luo Feng's heart warmed. How rare for a great fighter like you to think of calling me, teased Su Xian. What, you're back in the headquarters city? I'm still in the wilderness. It's just that I'm bored at night, so. As Luo Feng said this, he suddenly felt a bit awkward. Bored at night? Why does it sound like he's looking for a prostitute when he's bored at night? Cough, Su Xian coughed. I didn't think you'd be such a pervert. How are you doing in university? I've never been to university before, so I'm curious. Luo Feng immediately changed the topic. And just like that, the two of them chatted on the phone. Maybe because it was their first time chatting on the phone, and it happened in the middle of the night, they chatted for a long time. Only after hanging up did Luo Feng realize that this phone call actually lasted for an hour and a half. Could it be this is the legendary long phone call porridge? Sure enough, an hour and a half and the porridge was already done. Luo Feng was elated. The first time he talked to a girl he had a crush on for an hour and a half is indeed a happy thing. The panic brought about by the 100 billion bounty and the negative emotions brought about by paranoia were all swept away. From the panic and suspicious dark emotions to the pure and joyful emotions of a little boy who had a crush. This change in mentality made Luo Feng's entire soul feel like it was cleansed. Slowly, Luo Feng calmed down. This was an unprecedented calmness, a transcendent calmness that comes after going through huge ups and downs. After all, how many normal people can go through huge ups and downs like this? His heart was calm like still water. This feeling is so comfortable. Luo Feng really enjoyed this unprecedented feeling of calmness, and at this time, he had an urge, the urge to practice his blade. He pulled out the ghost blade on his back. In this cold night where countless people were shocked by the astronomical bounty, Luo Feng started to practice the 9-stage thunder blade by himself in a desolate residential building in the Wilderness No. 23 city. Under the unprecedented calmness of his heart that was as still as water, every swing of his blade felt unprecedentedly comfortable. 1 swing, 2 swings. Luo Feng's spiritual force naturally spread out. Every slight movement caused by every swing was clearly detected by his spiritual force. The cold light was like snow as it scattered around the room. Chapter 95. After experiencing so many ups and downs, he entered a state of mind as calm as still water. His mind was like a crystal, at least at this moment. Without any distractions, he completely focused on training his blade. Luo Feng trained for a while and then stood there in deep thought. Sometimes he would make a few gestures, then he would continue training. Then, he would stop to think and practice again. This feeling was just like when Luo Feng was doing math problems in school. A difficult math problem requires you to go through different directions and conditions to make deductions. You have to continuously improve and correct the direction until you solve the problem. The math problems in college entrance exams are all very difficult. Some of the more difficult problems can take up to an hour or 2 before you can solve them. And right now, Luo Feng seems to be solving problems. With the same mentality, he continuously studied his blade technique. However, what's different from before is that Luo Feng's mind has never been so clear before. His control over every part of his body and the speed at which his brain operates are much faster than usual. After a night of hard training, he continued to train the next morning. In the afternoon of the second day, Luo Feng sat on the balcony with his ghost blade in deep thought for 3 hours. After that, Luo Feng continued to study his blade technique. He forgot to eat, forgot about the astronomical bounty, forgot about his suspicions. On the second night, in the dark lobby of the high-rise apartment building's 8th floor, Luo Feng continuously moved and swung his blade. The blade was so cold that it could freeze people's souls. He didn't know how many times he had swung his saber, but when the blood shadow saber moved, a cold light lit up the entire hall. There was a faint, strange fluctuation like a bolt of lightning. Puff, puff. The air actually produced a strange shockwave-like sonic boom. Luo Feng opened his eyes wide and froze. Done! I actually did it. The 3rd stage of the 9-stage Thunder Blade, I actually completed it. Luo Feng couldn't help but to let out a roar. The 3rd stage of the Thunder Blade. He actually completed it not long after the astronomical bounty was announced. Each stage of the 9-stage Thunder Blade gets harder and harder. I didn't think that I would be able to complete the 3rd stage just after completing the 2nd stage. Luo Feng let out a smile. Indeed, I should thank Li Wei's parents. If Li Wei's mother, Vanina Paulinus, knew this result, she would probably spit out blood from anger. Each level of the 9-stage Thunder Blade was harder than the previous. In the entire world, Thunder God was the only one who had cultivated to the 9th level. One must know that this ultimate cultivation technique was very abnormal. The 3rd level would increase one's strength by 8 times. Luo Feng's current body fitness level is that of a veteran advanced level warrior. Under the 8x effect, his attack power can rival an intermediate level warlord. 8 times. One had to know that a difference of 1 level was only about 2 times. My saber contains 4 layers of hidden force, and its might is comparable to that of a mid-level warlord. If the telekinesis is used on the blood shadow saber, adding the 5th and 6th layer of strength to the saber, I'm afraid that this saber strike is comparable to a veteran advanced level warlord. Luo Feng was very clear about the power of his spiritual force. When his spiritual force combines with his body's attack power, its power is even more shocking. Surprise. It was an unexpected surprise brought about by the sky-high bounty. The astronomical bounty did indeed put a lot of pressure on Luo Feng. Some people were terrified under the pressure, even to the point of collapsing. But there were also some people who worked even harder under the pressure, and the speed of their improvement was even more shocking. And Luo Feng improved. I still have to thank Li Wei's parents. Luo Feng's face was full of joy. That astronomical bounty indeed made me panic. I felt like anyone could betray me, so I was overly suspicious. Thankfully, after chatting with Su Xian, my mood became better. The ups and downs actually made me extremely calm, heart like still water, in other words, without any distracting thoughts. It's hard to maintain this state of extreme calmness and clarity of mind for a long time. Normal people will occasionally enter this state of extreme calmness when they're in a life or death situation or in a dangerous situation. At this time, a person's strength will exceed normal. For example, when Luo Feng was surrounded by hundreds of commander-level monsters outside of the Family Mart, he was able to escape in a short 1-2 seconds of absolute calmness without any distracting thoughts. However, he only maintained this state for 1 or 2 seconds. However, this time, Luo Feng's state of mind went up and down, causing him to stay in that state for over 20 hours. In these 20 hours of extreme calmness, he focused on his saber technique and created the 3rd stage of the 9-stage Thunder Blade in one go. In the end, because of the ecstasy of success, he broke away from that state of mind like still water. An astronomical bounty, indeed, can easily affect a person's state of mind and make me overly suspicious. According to the history books, the decline of any ancient dynasty is mostly because the emperor starts to suspect his ministers. Being overly suspicious leads to the decline of the dynasty. Luo Feng's state of mind also increased by another level. The astronomical bounty didn't have much of an effect on him. Captain and the others don't have any evidence. Without enough evidence, they naturally can't get the bounty. If they can't get the bounty, who would be stupid enough to report it? Luo Feng's ears slightly moved and he immediately rushed to the balcony to look down. He saw that there were dozens of monsters gathered below this residential building. Luo Feng froze and then laughed. Looks like my excited roar from completing the 3rd stage attracted quite a few monsters. Let's go now. Back to the headquarters city. Luo Feng immediately put on his backpack, blade, and shield and jumped from the balcony of the 8th floor like lightning. He landed on the balcony of a 3-story villa in front of him and disappeared in a blink of an eye. Train station. The train station is always the busiest place with the most people. The noise from the train spread out. The long train slowly entered the station. After that, the screeching sound of the train's wheels rang. As the doors of the train opened, large amounts of passengers walked out. The headquarters city is home. Luo Feng walked out of the train and smiled as he looked around. Home. Luo Feng sat in the dojo of Limit's private car and returned to Mingyue sector when the sun was setting. The sector is still the same as before, so peaceful. Luo Feng looked through the window and saw quite a few residents in the sector chatting leisurely. Beep. The car stopped in front of the Limit Hall. Luo Feng opened the door and walked out. He saw a large group of people standing in front of the Limit Hall. There were quite a few fighters and their families. Even the other members of the Fire Hammer squad were here. Of course, his parents and brother were here too. Feng, Luo Honghua and Gong Xian Lan couldn't help but to yell. Brother Luo Hua's face was full of joy. Luo Feng, crazy, quite a few fighters also yelled passionately. Captain, you guys came too? Luo Feng laughed in surprise. Captain Gao Feng, Wei Tai and Wei Qing all laughed. Gao Feng laughed. Didn't you say that you'll be back in 2 days? We're going to discuss how to deal with the monster materials anyway. Plus, we haven't seen old Zhang in a while, so we should come over and have a good chat. Luo Feng laughed as he nodded. Captain, I'll talk to you guys tonight. I'll be heading back first. Okay, Gao Feng laughed as he nodded. He watched Luo Feng leave and thought to himself, HM? Looking at Luo Feng's expression, he seems to be quite happy and relaxed. He doesn't seem to be under any pressure at all. I guess he really isn't the killer. Gao Feng didn't know what he was thinking. He couldn't help but to investigate and find out if Luo Feng was the killer. After all, 100 billion is too tempting. Maybe he doesn't want Luo Feng to be the killer. That way, he won't have to be tempted by 100 billion. How many people wouldn't be worried in the face of an astronomical bounty, and would be in a good mood? At least a young man that's not even 20 years old would have a hard time doing this. Gao Feng shook his head. Whatever, I won't think about it anymore. Gao Feng has to admit that he's a bit confused in front of this enormous bounty. Let's go, brothers. Let's go get a drink, yelled Gao Feng. Let's go, haha, let's go. The members of the Fire Hammer Squad, including Zhang Ku with the broken arm, walked into the dojo. Only Luo Feng was at home. Second floor of Luo Feng's home. Right after returning home, Luo Feng put the bag with the dragon egg, battle uniform, and sword into the safe in his bedroom. Actually, even if he left it on the floor of his bedroom, no one would steal it. Since this is the fighter sector of the Dojo of Limits, no one would dare to come here to steal anything. Without a doubt, Li Wei's parents have the right to investigate the surrounding fighters. With the amount of fighters gathered at the edge of number 023 city, they probably found hundreds or even thousands of fighters. I'm just one of them. My level of suspicion is extremely low. Since Li Wei's parents suspect that I'm a spirit reader, they'll probably investigate the accounts of the fighters they suspect, so, from now on, I can't put the large amounts of money I earned into my bank account with my real name. I should put it into an anonymous account. As of now, there are many anonymous accounts in the world. It doesn't matter who the account holder is. As long as the password is set correctly, you can take the money. 1. Put the large amounts of money into an anonymous account. 2. My identity as a spirit reader can't be revealed until the time is right. 3. I can't tell anyone that I killed Li Wei. 4. I can't tell anyone about the dragon egg, war god battle uniform, etc. being sold, including my family. Luo Feng was very clear that the collapse of a 1,000-mile dam can be caused by an ant's hole. Many times, he can't reveal himself before he has enough strength to fight against the vulture and scorpion couple. Having a few 100 million or even a few billion is a lot for a warlord-level fighter, but it's not an exaggeration. However, if his bank account has over 10 billion, how could Vulture Li Yao and Scorpion Vanina Paulinus not be suspicious? Keep in mind that the HR Alliance controls over half of the world's economy. Many large foreign banks are under the HR Alliance. With their special authority, they can completely investigate Luo Feng's wealth through the world's banking network. Only an anonymous account is the safest. Even the banks themselves don't know who their customers are, so they can't investigate. The most important thing for me right now is my strength on the surface. So, I better buy the 9-stage Thunderblade instruction manual first. Luo Feng slightly nodded. At this time, the phone beside him rang. Hello, Luo Feng, are you done yet? I'm done, I'm coming, laughed Luo Feng. We're at the bar on the first floor of the Limit Hall. Come over. After hanging up, Luo Feng headed towards the Limit Hall in the sector. Chapter 96. In the bar on the first floor of the Limit Hall, around a dozen fighters were chatting. One of the tables was surrounded by a few people, the members of the Fire Hammer Squad. As Luo Feng walked in, "Hey Luo Feng, crazy you're here?" Everyone in the bar greeted him. Luo Feng laughed and responded a few times. He then sat at the Fire Hammer Squad's table. This table was occupied by Gao Feng, Wei Tai, Wei Qing, Chen Gu, Luo Feng, and the disabled Zhang Ku. After the 6 of them sat down, they laughed, drank, and chatted. Only until around 9 p.m. did Zhang Ke leave. Only Luo Feng and the others were left at the table. Luo Feng, what do you think we should do with the monsters we killed this time? Laughed Gao Feng. In my opinion, we should just sell them for money, couldn't help but to yell Wei Tai. Luo Feng shook his head. Captain, I'm preparing to sell my portion of the materials we killed to the Limit Hall of Dojo of Limits to earn some contribution points. I only have a pitiful few hundred contribution points right now. I don't even have a 1-star. These few hundred contribution points were obtained by selling a small portion to the Dojo of Limits when he crazily killed around 10,000 soldier-level monsters. Right, Luo Feng hasn't even reached a 1-star contribution point yet, nodded Gao Feng. The others couldn't help but to laugh as they nodded. Yeah, we need to earn some contribution points. There are quite a few benefits to having high contribution points, laughed Chen Gu. For example, you have to buy your own instruction manuals. Only with enough contribution points will you be able to buy the instruction manuals. And only when you have a star rank can you enter the special training rooms of the Limit Hall of Limits, Luo Feng nodded. Some of the high-tech and expensive training rooms are something that even the big powers can't afford. Only gigantic powers like the Dojo of Limits and Thunder Dojo can build special training rooms in every headquarters city. However, only when your contribution points reach a certain level can you get a certain amount of training time per year. How about this? Gao Feng took out a piece of paper from his pocket. On the paper was printed the monster materials that the Fire Hammer Squad had hunted. This is our harvest this time. Every material has a market value. The total value of all the materials added together is around 2 billion. Gao Feng's voice was rather low. And it's quite late right now, so there aren't many people in the bar. Actually, it wasn't a big deal if others heard it. This time, Luo Feng and I will be the main force while Chen Gu, Wei Tai, and Wei Qing will be the support. This way, Chen Gu, Wei Tai, and Wei Qing would each take 10%, which was 220 million each. Me and Luo Feng, 35% each, which is 770 million each. Gao Feng looked towards the crowd. No objections, right? The members of the Fire Hammer Squad all laughed. Do you have any objections? In the past 1 or 2 years, they would only earn 100 million. This time, Chen Gu and the other two had earned 220 million in such a short time. Of course, it's also because they used the genetic medicine to increase their strength. If their strength didn't increase, they wouldn't be able to help Luo Feng and Gao Feng in number 003 city outskirts. Luo Feng, choose the monster materials worth 770 million. You decide how to deal with it. Gao Feng handed over the paper and shouted at the bar counter, "Get me a pen." Luo Feng looked at the paper in front of him and looked carefully. After the pen arrived, Luo Feng swiftly started drawing and quickly drew nearly 770 million worth of monster materials. Nowadays, because martial artists often communicated with each other through the internet, and because of the fierce competition between managers and other personnel who purchased monster materials, the prices had long since become clear. Usually, there would not be much of a difference. Luo Feng, you sold it to the Dojo of Limits for contribution points to buy instruction manuals? Asked Gao Feng. I want to buy the secret manual for the first 4 stages of the 9-stage Thunder Blade. Luo Feng said helplessly, actually, I only need to buy the 4th stage. Too bad, this instruction manual doesn't only sell 1 stage. If you want to buy an instruction manual, then buy the first few stages. Actually, Luo Feng really wanted to buy the first 5 stages of the 9-stage Thunder Blade. Unfortunately, if he wanted to buy the first 5 levels, he would need 2 billion. Half price, 1 billion. However, the condition for half price was that one must have a 3-star contribution point. That was 1 million contribution points. If he were to spend money to buy contribution points, he would need 10 billion contribution points. Even if selling monster materials to the Dojo of Limits for contribution points is more worth it, Luo Feng doesn't have that many monster materials. Therefore, he could only buy the first 4 tiers for now. The full price for the first 4 stages of the 9-stage Thunderblade is 500 million Chinese dollars. The half price is 250 million Chinese dollars. The condition for half price is a 2-star contribution point, which is 100,000 contribution points. Selling instruction manuals is indeed the most rip-off. Wei Qing couldn't help but to nod on the side. The HR Alliance's instruction manuals are a bit lower than the full price of the Dojo of Limits. However, compared to the Dojo of Limits half price, it's much more expensive, I know. The Dojo of Limits sells the first 4 stages of the 9-stage Thunderblade for 500 million full price and 250 million half price. And even though the HR Alliance doesn't require contribution points, it still requires 400 million. Luo Feng shook his head helplessly. In terms of attractiveness, the Dojo of Limits half price is indeed the lowest price in the market. Sadly, this half price requires a lot of contribution points. After thinking about it, selling the monster materials to the Dojo of Limits is still more worth it. On the second day, the Fire Hammer Squad directly went to the HR Alliance market in Jiangnan headquarters city. First, Captain Gao Feng, Wei Tai, Wei Qing, and Chen Gu went to take out the monster materials from the large storage boxes. After that, they gave all of the monster materials Luo Feng chose to Luo Feng. The fighter's backpack was open layer by layer until it reached a height of 1.2 meters. Only then was it able to fit all of the materials. Gao Feng, Wei Tai, Wei Qing, and Chen Gu all sold their monster materials to the HR Alliance. At most, after haggling over the price, they got slightly more than the estimated price. Gao Feng earned 780 million, while Wei Tai, Wei Qing, and Chen Gu all earned a bit more than 220 million. Let's go to the Dojo of Limits. The Dojo of Limits headquarters is the headquarters of the Dojo of Limits in Jiangnan headquarters city. However, Luo Feng rarely comes here. Gao Feng, canon crazy. After entering the first floor of the Dojo of Limits headquarters, quite a few fighters recognized Luo Feng's group and passionately greeted them. Luo Feng and the others also laughed as they chatted. Most fighters meet each other while resting in the resupplying base. And right now, Luo Feng's reputation is pretty big. Under the lead of a blue-suited woman, Luo Feng and the others took the elevator and arrived at the 23rd floor. Ding! The elevator door opened. Please follow me, the blue-suited woman smiled as she led Luo Feng and the others into an office. In this office, there was a middle-aged woman sitting in front of a computer. You must be the Fire Hammer Squad. Welcome, welcome, smiled the middle-aged woman. My name is Luo Yunqin. Manager Luo and I are from the same family, laughed Luo Feng. Manager Luo, these are the monster materials we brought this time. Take a look. As he said that, he placed the gigantic backpack on the ground and pulled the rope. Immediately, large amounts of monster materials were poured into a metal basin. Luo Yunqin's eyes flashed and she immediately took out her locked case. She opened it and took out her tools. Beep 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 beep. Under the scanning of the equipment, the monster materials quality, name, and price appeared on the screen. There was no need to check them by hand. Soon, the total price appeared on the screen. The total is 510 million, and the contribution points are 255,000, smiled Luo Yunqin. Luo Feng slightly nodded. If this batch of monster materials is sold to the HR Alliance, it can be sold for around 770 million. And in the limit hall, it can only be sold for 2/3 of the original price of 510 million, which is 260 million less. However, it increased the contribution points by 255,000. If you just rely on donations to earn contribution points, you'll need 255 billion. In other words, if you lose 10 million by selling the monster materials to the limit hall, you can earn 10,000 contribution points. It's 10 times better than donations. Clearly, the Dojo of Limits wants everyone to earn contribution points through hunting monsters. If you donate to the limit hall to earn contribution points, it's purely cheating. That's why it's 10,000 Chinese dollars, which is only one contribution point. It's a punishment. Are you sure you're selling? Smiled Luo Yunqin as she looked at Luo Feng. I'm sure, nodded Luo Feng. The limit hall isn't like the HR Alliance. They don't bargain. Of course, the limit hall's prices are usually very fair and transparent. Add the materials from the 2 low-level commander-level monsters to my battle score, said Luo Feng. Alright. Right now, your fighter level is beginner-level warlord, nodded Luo Yunqin and entered it. A fighter's level is determined by their battle record of hunting monsters. For example, to reach the beginner-level warlord level, you must have the battle record of killing 2 low-level commander-level monsters. However, the battle record here isn't completely trustworthy, because no one knows whether or not you killed the monster yourself, since you can buy the monster materials and claim them as your own. However, the so-called fighter level isn't very useful. In the fighter circle, everyone knows who's strong and who's weak. If a rich kid buys the corpses of 2 low-level horde leader-level monsters and says that he killed them, his fighter level will become beginner-level war god. Once he does this, it's easy for other fighters to challenge him. If you have the strength, then that's fine. If you don't have the strength, then it'll be shameful for someone with the title of beginner-level war god to be trampled on by a group of warlords. So without enough strength, most people don't want to get a title. I killed around 10,000 soldier-level monsters in 2 months, and most of them were high-level soldier-level monsters. Most fighters think that I'm a beginner-level warlord. I'm afraid that Li Wei's parents will also think that I have the strength of a low-level warlord when they look up information on me. If that's the case, I'll directly raise my fighter level to beginner-level warlord late at night, in Luo Feng's home's audiovisual room. The screen on the wall entered the Home of Limits page. The most eye-catching thing on this page was a list. Name: Luo Feng. Gender: male. Address: China, Jiangnan Headquarters. City. Fighter Identification Number: 4261232056080100002. Level: Warlord, Beginner. Contribution Value: 255,612 points. 2-star. Balance: 1,1,089,800,000 Chinese dollars. Online market. Instruction Manual 9-stage Thunderblade. Luo Feng swiftly tapped on the wireless keyboard and entered the 9-stage Thunderblade instruction manual page. After carefully browsing, he saw the words at the top: 9-stage Thunderblade, all 9 stages. Price: 100 billion Chinese dollars. Full price: 50 billion Chinese dollars. Half price. Requirement: 4-star contribution. That's an astronomical price. It's even more expensive than the elixir of life and requires 4-star contribution. Luo Feng shook his head and lightly tapped on the button for the first 4 stages of the instruction manual. Please confirm if you want to purchase the first 4 stages of the 9-stage Thunderblade. 250 million Chinese dollars is required. Confirm. Luo Feng tapped. Please check your fingerprint and confirm again. Luo Feng placed his finger on the fingerprint scanner on the wireless keyboard and shook his head as he sighed. Unfortunately, buying the first 5 stages of the 9-stage Thunderblade requires a 3-star contribution to buy at half price. There's nothing he can do about it. He can only buy the first 4 stages. According to common sense, the 9-stage Thunderblade gets harder as you progress. Luo Feng managed to complete the 3rd stage due to some special circumstances. The 4th stage will probably take a very, very long time, unless he gets lucky again. Beep. Fingerprint confirmed. Purchase successful. Money deducted. The first 4 stages of the 9-stage Thunderblade will be delivered to Mr. Luo Feng's home within 24 hours. Notifications appeared on the screen. Luo Feng let out a long sigh. Now that I've bought the instruction manual, I have to think about how to safely sell the dragon egg, battle uniform, and sword. Chapter 97. The HR Alliance, the Dojo of Limits, and the Thunder Dojo all sell monster materials in public. I can get them to deposit the money into an anonymous account. However, it's easy for them to spread the news of me earning a huge amount of money. Luo Feng frowned. Looks like I can only sell them on the black market. Where there's light, there's darkness. The competition for monster materials has always been fierce. The HR Alliance is an alliance of all the financial groups and families in the world. Even though this alliance is said to be stable, there's still all sorts of competition within. Some of the financial groups and families try to take up more space in the HR Alliance and get more benefit. Competition leads to all sorts of services. You want to hide your identity and sell monster materials? Alright. If other managers don't do it, I'll do it. You, a martial artist, want to deposit money into an anonymous foreign account? Alright, I'll take care of it for you. As long as you have a treasure, there will be plenty of managers who specialize in buying monster materials fighting to do it. Hee, so much information. Luo Feng entered the Warlord level fighter forum. He just typed in selling monster materials and found a bunch of posts. It was easy to find the posters of all the managers. These posters had contact information and all sorts of promised security measures. Looking at the large amount of replies, you can see the security and credibility. I want to sell the dragon egg, battle uniform, and blade. It's best not to sell them in Jiangnan headquarters city. I'll sell them somewhere else. Luo Feng opened the posts one by one. This one's not bad. Look at the replies. Quite a few famous warlord-level fighters are replying to this post. Even war gods are replying to this post. In the Home of Limits internal forum, the fighter forum is divided into 3 levels: warrior level, warlord level, and war god level. Warrior level, you can only watch and speak in the warrior level forum. Warlord level, you can enter the warrior level and warlord level forums to watch and speak. War god level, you can enter the warrior level, warlord level, and war god level forums to watch and speak. Everyone's account corresponds to their identity, so it can't be fake. It seems like quite a few people are selling to him. He's pretty trustworthy. Is he from Kyoto headquarters city? Luo Feng smiled as he nodded. Wang Ho? That's a pretty domineering name. I'll go with him. On the morning of the second day, Luo Feng went to a few places in Yangzhou City and bought a SIM card and a cell phone. Logically speaking, most SIM cards required a real name system. However, some vendors did not require an ID card to buy a SIM card. In this world, as long as there was enough money, there would always be people willing to take risk. While buying the SIM card and cell phone, Luo Feng also bought glasses, a fake beard, and other simple disguise items. Hey! Luo Feng stood in his training hall and used his new phone to call that Wang Ho. Hello, I'm Wang Ho. What can I do for you, sir? Wang Ho's voice was very gentle. The contact information he left on the Home of Limits Warrior Forum was a special number. Generally, those who could reach him were powerful warriors. After all, which ordinary martial artist would have a treasure to sell? Luo Feng laughed. I'm preparing to sell some things, but I don't know if you'll be able to eat them. Oh, how big is the treasure? Wang Ho sounded a little surprised. Over 10 billion, Luo Feng said. On the other side of the phone, Wang Ho was originally chatting with a tall, white-skinned beauty. When he heard this, he immediately stood up. He didn't care about talking to the beauty and directly walked to the window and said quietly, I'll eat them. As long as you can take them out, I'll eat them. I'm sure you know about my reputation. This reputation is built up over and over again. Don't worry about the price. Over 10 billion. This is definitely a huge deal. Usually, only war gods would ask for such a huge deal. Yeah, when the time comes, I hope you can deposit the money into the European Union's Swiss International Bank anonymous account. Is that a problem? Luo Feng continued. Definitely not a problem. Many of the warriors that work with me like to deposit their money there, laughed Wang Ho. The Swiss International Bank was extremely famous before the Grand Nirvana period. It's hard to build up a bank or a company's reputation, but it's easy to destroy it. The Swiss International Bank's reputation over the years has allowed them to get a lot of business. When will you be coming over, sir? Asked Wang Ho. In these 2 days. I'll go to the main sector of Kyoto headquarters city. I'll contact you then, said Luo Feng. All right, I still don't know your name. My name is Wei, replied Luo Feng. Oh, Mr. Wei, then I'll be waiting for you. Wang Ho's voice was filled with passion. Luo Feng smiled as he hung up the phone. He's never tried this kind of underhanded method before. However, it seems like it's easy. One phone call and the contact person is confirmed. First, I'll register an account at the Swiss International Bank. Luo Feng used the new phone in his hand to swiftly go online and enter the Swiss International Bank's website. He easily registered an anonymous account. The password was quite simple, but it was very secure. It was a combination of 3 sets of 12 Chinese characters, English letters, and numbers. Done, all that's left is to sell it for money. That night, Luo Feng's family sat together and ate under the lights in the living room on the first floor. Dad, Mom, I'm going to go out tomorrow to do something, laughed Luo Feng. I'll probably be back the day after tomorrow. Oh, where are you going? Luo Hongguo looked at his son in shock. Luo Feng laughed. To see a fighter friend, Hongguo, don't ask anymore. Maybe Feng is going to see his girlfriend, laughed Gong Xianlan. Luo Feng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Gong Xianlan continued. However, son, I'll be honest. You're not young anymore. You'll be 19 in the new year. It's time for you to date. Dating takes 1 or 2 years. When you get married, it won't be early anymore. Luo Hua, who was on the wheelchair, also laughed. Yeah, bro, I'm older than you. You've got to work hard, you brat. Luo Feng shook his head and laughed. Luo Hua, how are things going with your girlfriend, Nan? How can it be? It's the same as before. Luo Hua raised his eyebrows and was extremely proud. The next morning, after eating breakfast with his family, Luo Feng carried his huge backpack and left home. He didn't take the dojo of Limit's car. Instead, he took a taxi to the train station. Next to the train station was a real kung fu fast food restaurant. Fast food restaurants like Real Kung Fu, KFC, and McDonald's are always the fast food restaurants with the most traffic. Luo Feng walked into this Real Kung Fu fast food restaurant. After eating a bit, he entered a single room in the washroom. After locking the door, Luo Feng swiftly put on some simple makeup. He put on his glasses, stuck on his beard, darkened his skin, put on his hat, and put on his shoes. Suddenly, Luo Feng seemed like a completely different person. In this type of fast food restaurant, there are hundreds of people inside, and people are coming and going at all times. Who would pay attention to Luo Feng? After Luo Feng put on some simple makeup, he left the fast food restaurant and took the fastest train out of Yangzhou City at the train station. As of now, the protection of the train consumes a lot of resources, so most people rarely leave the headquarters city. Fighters, however, don't need to. They just need to show their fighter card. They don't even need to buy a train ticket to get on the train and get off whenever they want. This is the privilege of fighters. Around 6 p.m. that day. Dear passengers, the train is about to arrive. Passengers who are getting off at Kyoto City's main city area, please take your luggage and get off from the front door. Following the announcement from the train, Luo Feng carried his backpack and exited the train. Kyoto headquarters city. Luo Feng looked around. The biggest city in China, the one with the most residents and the one with the most political core? However, it doesn't seem much different from Jiangnan headquarters city, except that the temperature is much lower and colder. Luo Feng laughed as he walked out of the train station. He called a taxi and went straight to the rather famous Will Palace Entertainment City in Kyoto headquarters city. It's pretty high class. At the entrance of the entertainment city, There were countless beauties wearing all sorts of clothes, as if you've entered a country of women. Sir. A man wearing a suit smiled. Give me a private room, one that's quieter. I don't want anyone to disturb me. Luo Feng showed his fighter card and the manager's attitude immediately became much more respectful. Understood, please follow me, Will Palace, Earth number 3 private room. Sir, there's alcohol here, said the manager respectfully. Does sir need anything else? No need, without my permission. I don't want anyone to come in, ordered Luo Feng. Understood, there's a service list and phone number over there. If sir has any requests, just let us know, smiled the manager. Luo Feng lightly locked the door and scanned the entire room with his spiritual force. There weren't any cameras in the room. The room was beautifully decorated, and the floor was covered with a layer of beautiful monster fur. Luo Feng looked at the screen on the wall and the list of services. How luxurious! Luo Feng shook his head and laughed as he called Wang Ho's number. Hello, Mr. Wei, yelled Wang Ho enthusiastically. Wang Ho, I'm currently in Kyoto headquarters cities Will Kingdom, China Hall, Earth number 3 private room, replied Luo Feng. Okay, I got it. I'll be there in an hour. Wang Ho's voice had a bit of excitement. After Luo Feng hung up, he laid on the sofa. He casually took some tea leaves from the wine cabinet and made a cup of tea. Luo Feng felt the phone in his pocket vibrate. Who's calling my phone? The phone in his pocket was the one Luo Feng used before, not the one he just bought. Luo Feng picked up the phone and saw that it was a call from home. Hello, Luo Feng picked up the phone. Feng, your brother, something happened to your brother, his mother, Gong Xianlan, said with a bit of a sob in her voice. Luo Feng's entire body shook as he fiercely stood up. Bang! He knocked over the teacup and the tea spilled on the counter. Chapter 98. Mom, what happened to Luo Hua? Just what's going on? Luo Feng was even more panicked than when he killed Li Wei. Little Feng, don't panic. Gong Xianlan continued in a sobbing voice. Before, your brother almost drowned, but now that we've saved him, he's fine. Drowning? Mom, what happened? Luo Feng couldn't understand. How could something happen to his brother in a headquarters city? Wasn't there a nanny with him? Little Feng, it's like this. This afternoon, the nanny brought your brother, Xiao Hua, to the nearby park to play. As you know, your brother often goes to the park. This time, he met the parents of his girlfriend, Xiao Nan, in the park. Xiao Nan's parents would like to invite your brother to the side for a chat. Luo Feng frowned. He had never told his girlfriend's parents about his younger brother Luo Hua and his girlfriend. This time, his girlfriend's parents came to look for his brother, Luo Hua. It was obvious that something had happened. At that time, your brother asked the nanny to stand aside. He chatted with Xiao Nan's parents for about an hour. After that, Nan's parents left. His mother's voice was a little hoarse from crying. Later, your brother said he wanted to walk around the park alone. He asked the nanny to wait for him at the park entrance. Nanny Chin also thinks that there's no danger in the park. It's just some scenery, so she didn't think too much about it. Wait for your brother at the park entrance. But I never expected it. Your brother actually pushed the wheels of his wheelchair to the edge of the scenic lake. The lake had already frozen. There were only some places that were smashed by some children who were playing around, creating some holes. Your brother actually jumped into the lake by himself and fell into the ice cave. Luo Feng's face was a bit pale as he listened. Even though he knew that his brother would be fine in the end, falling into a lake filled with layers of ice, and with his brother's crippled legs and the desire to die, it was almost certain death. Fortunately, there was a martial artist from our district, a young man called Chiu Yi, who was there. He jumped into the lake and broke through the layer of ice. He swam to the bottom of the ice to look for your brother. In the end, he finally found your brother and rescued him. At that time, your brother had already stopped breathing. Fortunately, Chiu Yi also knew some first aid and saved your brother's life. Later, the doctor in our neighborhood said that if he had been a little later, if he had drowned for a little longer, he would have definitely died. I don't know what kind of cruel words Xiao Nan's parents said to force my son to seek death. Don't they have any children? His mother's voice on the phone was already crying. She couldn't hold it in any longer. Luo Feng too gripped his fist tightly. Due to his disability, her younger brother spent most of his time at home alone. Even when he went to school, he had to learn by himself through online distance education. Being alone for a long time, the younger brother was actually very introverted and self-abased. He only appeared very cheerful in front of his family. In terms of psychological quality, the younger brother was actually very weak. I'm afraid Xiao Nan's parents only care about their daughter. They tried to use harsh words to force my brother to leave their daughter. Why would they care if my brother could handle it? Actually, everyone was the same. In Luo Feng's heart, his parents and brother were the most important. In the hearts of Xiao Nan's parents, their daughter was naturally the most important. "Mom, how's brother now?" asked Luo Feng. The doctor in the neighborhood said that there's no problem now. However, your brother's emotions aren't stable right now. Your dad and I are taking turns to look after your brother. We're just afraid that your brother will do something stupid. Mother Gong Xian Lan shook her head. Feng, you should come back soon. Hua can talk to you, but there are many things he doesn't want to talk to us about. Since Luo Feng and Luo Hua are of the same age, Luo Hua naturally has many things he wants to talk to Luo Feng. Okay, I'll be home tomorrow morning, nodded Luo Feng. After selling the dragon egg and the battle uniform, he'll take the train back overnight. After hanging up the phone, Luo Feng sat on the sofa with a depressed mood. All these years, his brother's life hasn't been bad. Especially after he moved into the Mingyue sector and met Xiao Nan, his brother was extremely happy. But who would have thought that his first love could make his brother so happy, but it could also make him so miserable that he wants to commit suicide? Compared to a normal person, a failed first love has a much bigger impact on a younger brother. Then, Xiao Nan's parents probably stopped their daughter from dating my brother because he's disabled. Luo Feng took in a deep breath. Soon, if I'm lucky enough, the 30 billion Chinese dollars needed for the elixir of life might be enough for me to make a profit. 30 billion. Of course, the dragon egg isn't that valuable. The most important things are the battle uniform and the sword. Hopefully it's SS grade. If it really is, then I'll be rich. Luo Feng doesn't have a way to identify it himself, so he needs some professional equipment. However, Luo Feng doesn't have any of these equipment, and he doesn't want the HR Alliance or the Dojo of Limits people to test these things. Time passed by minute by minute. Pung, pung, pung. The sound of knocking carried over. Luo Feng walked over and opened the door. A middle-aged man with a mustache, wearing a leather jacket and carrying a large backpack, stood outside the door. As soon as he saw Luo Feng, he could feel the sharpness in Luo Feng's eyes. He immediately smiled. "You're Mr. Wei, right? Wang Ho?" Luo Feng's eyebrows twitched. "The advertisements on the fighter forums come with pictures." "That's right," smiled Wang Ho. "Please enter." Luo Feng let him in and directly closed the door. The two of them sat on the sofa. "I heard Mr. Wei say that you have something good here?" Wang Ho's smile was bright, but his eyes were filled with excitement as if he saw his prey. Luo Feng slightly smiled and directly opened the gigantic backpack he brought. The thing that took up the most space in the backpack was the gigantic green dragon egg. Luo Feng held the dragon egg and directly placed it on the sofa. He smiled towards Wang Ho. "Wang Ho, this is a dragon egg. I'm sure you can tell what kind of dragon egg it is." "Dragon egg? A dragon egg that's worth over 10 billion? Don't tell me it's the dragon egg of an Eastern Sea Azure dragon?" Wang Ho was shocked. Luo Feng froze. Eastern Sea Azure dragon? That's an emperor-level monster, which is much stronger than a horde leader-level monster. And after all these years, only one dragon egg of an Eastern Sea Azure dragon has been discovered. According to the Fighter Network, it was sold for over 50 billion. What's with this guy's eyes? After doing business for so long, I thought he'd be able to tell with a glance. Luo Feng shook his head and didn't say anything. What Luo Feng didn't know was, how many dragon eggs have been discovered in the entire world. Wang Ho has only seen 2 with his own eyes. With his eyesight, how could he tell what kind of dragon egg this is? Wait, the Azure Dragon's dragon egg is bigger than this, said Wang Ho. I didn't say it's the Azure Dragon's dragon egg. Hurry up and check it, Luo Feng couldn't help but to say. He said that his item was worth over 10 billion, but he didn't say this was the only one. This is the first dragon egg I've ever gotten. Hee, Wang Ho's eyes flashed. Dragon egg. Wang Ho swiftly opened his backpack. Wang Ho quickly opened his backpack. There were 3 password-protected chests inside. He took out one of them, opened it, and took out a set of instruments. He placed the spider-like instrument's antennae on the surface of the dragon egg, and a large amount of data quickly appeared on the screen. Wang Ho looked at the data as he laughed. Mr. Wei, you sure are amazing. You even got your hands on a dragon egg. In this world right now, any monster that can be called a dragon is not to be messed with. The test is out. Luo Feng looked towards the screen. Soon, laughed Wang Ho, not in a rush at all. Oh, Wang Ho's glasses flashed as he stared at the screen and smiled towards Luo Feng. According to the database, this is the egg of a steel-armored dragon. The steel-armored dragon is considered above average among all the dragon monsters in the world. Let's go with the market price for this dragon egg. I'll be straightforward, and you should be straightforward too. 5 billion Chinese dollars. Of course, Luo Feng checked the market price before coming here. 5 billion is indeed a very generous price. Even if you sell it to the HR Alliance, it'll be around this price. Straightforward enough, laughed Luo Feng. That's the price. Everyone knows how I do business, laughed Wang Ho. Doing business requires a steady flow. If I rip you off too much, you'll definitely talk about me on the forums. Then my reputation will be low, and I won't be able to do business anymore. So, anyone who does business with me knows how I, Wang Ho, am. Seeing this, Luo Feng slightly smiled. Mr. Wei, Wang Ho couldn't help but to say, you should have something else right. I do, Luo Feng nodded and took out the sheathed sword from his backpack. Oh! Wang Ho's eyes flashed when he saw the sheathed sword. He looked at Luo Feng with shock. This is a truly good sword. Just the price of the sheathed sword is shocking enough. Can I take a look? Please, Luo Feng was a bit excited. He didn't know what level this sword was, but it was at least an S-grade 9 series. After taking out the sword, Wang Ho carefully looked at it and couldn't help but to nod. Good sword, truly a good sword. There's a high chance that this sword was used by a war god. If I'm not wrong, it should be an SS-grade sword. This treasured sword is indeed very valuable. Luo Feng was surprised. He didn't think that this sword would be an SS-grade sword. The price of a sword depends on its condition, laughed Wang Ho. A successfully crafted sword is in 100% condition. Wang Ho smiled. A successfully crafted sword is 100% perfect, but when martial artists use it to fight monsters time and time again, the sword itself would suffer some minor damage that can't be seen. The longer it is used, the more shocking the damage would be, until one day the weapon would directly break in battle. Luo Feng nodded. For example, the description of an S-grade weapon is that it can fight against almost all S-grade monsters without breaking. This means that there's a chance that the weapon will break. The more perfect it is, the higher the price. The less perfect it is, the lower the price. Let me test it. Wang Ho immediately opened another box and took out another set of equipment to test it. A dreamy light shot out from the equipment and enveloped the sword. The screen of the equipment immediately collected a large amount of information. After that, according to the software inside the equipment, the results were quickly obtained. 100% perfect? Exclaimed Wang Ho in shock. Chapter 99. Luo Feng couldn't help but to let out a smile when he heard this. 100% in perfect condition, then the price of his sword will be very high. This weapon should be used to fight monsters lower than SS class, Wang Ho said with a smile. If an SS grade weapon is used to fight against an SS grade Emperor level monster, it will be slightly damaged. After enough battles, the damage will reach a certain level and it will break. However, an SS grade sword can be said to be completely undamaged when used against Horde leader and commander level monsters. Wang Ho, how much can you pay for this sword? Asked Luo Feng. If you buy this sword from the dojo, the full price is 30 billion, and the half price is 15 billion. If you buy it from the Palace of War Gods, the best price is 10 billion, laughed Wang Ho. I'm sure you know about the market information. Luo Feng didn't say anything. No? He didn't know much about the legendary Palace of War Gods. Who would have thought that the best price to buy a weapon from the Palace of War Gods would be even lower than the half price from the Home of Limits? The best price in the Palace of War Gods is 10 billion, which is already the lowest. The cost to make this sword is around 9 billion. And if I want to buy this sword, I'll have to go through a lot of channels. I'll have to pay quite a bit of these channels and fees before I can sell it. So, I'll give you the highest price of 8 billion. Any higher and we won't get any profit, explained Wang Ho. Luo Feng understood that the cost to make this sword is 9 billion. If you ask for 9 billion, the manufacturer can just make another sword. Why would they buy a second-hand item? Even though this sword is 100% in perfect condition, there's no guarantee of quality. And the weapons sold by the HR Alliance and the Home of Limits all have promises. Alright, 8 billion it is, laughed Luo Feng as he nodded. How refreshing. Wang Ho also smiled. Mr. Wei, shall we have some fun later? My treat. We'll be in one of the top 9 imperial palaces of the Will Palace. If you want to find some girls, you can ask for anything. Age, height, 3 measurements, education, looks, virginity, etc., said Wang Ho with familiarity. This is a huge business deal. Perhaps the highest level of spending in the Will Palace costs a few million per night. However, the business this time was over 10 billion, and the consumption was just a drop in the bucket. Wang Ho, don't rush, I still have things, Luo Feng couldn't help but to say. More. Wang Ho glared. He had thought that the dragon egg and the sword were the goods for sale, and the price was indeed over 10 billion spirit stones. He had never thought that there would be treasures as well. Based on the order in which Mr. Wei took out the treasures, it was obvious that each treasure was more valuable than the previous one. The dragon egg was sold for 5 billion, and the SS grade sword was sold for 8 billion. What about the last treasure? Quick, let me have a look. Wang Ho was getting excited. Luo Feng slightly smiled and took out the final treasure from his backpack. A battle uniform set, including combat boots, arm guards, vest, and so on. Phew, my goodness! Wang Ho could not help but gasp. Is this combat uniform also SS level? According to the price of the various equipment, although they were all SS rank, there was a huge difference between different equipment. Compared to a saber, the price of a flying dagger, which required very little materials, was like heaven and earth. And the battle uniform set, which was harder to make and more flexible, was much more expensive than weapons like sabers and sword. Take a look, Luo Feng put the battle uniform set on the table. Okay, Wang Ho immediately used the equipment that examined the sword from before. The dreamy light once again enveloped the battle uniform and scanned every part. A large amount of data swiftly appeared on the screen of the equipment. Wang Ho looked as he smiled to Luo Feng. Mr. Wei, with my eyes, I can confirm that this battle uniform set is at least an S grade. As for whether or not it's an SS grade, I don't know. Luo Feng smiled and didn't say anything. Wang Ho's expression suddenly froze. As he stared at the screen of the equipment, his smile completely disappeared. What's wrong? Luo Feng frowned. Take a look. Wang Ho turned the screen towards Luo Feng. Luo Feng looked carefully. 2 items were clearly compared on the screen. The combat boots were S-grade, the battle uniform pants were S-grade, and the other parts were still being scanned. Luo Feng's face slightly changed. S-grade? This battle uniform set is actually an S-grade. Even though the SS grade and S grade are only 1 level apart, the difference in price is like heaven and earth. How could this be? Luo Feng didn't suspect that this Wang Ho would lie to him. Because Luo Feng has seen this equipment before when he sold the monster materials to the HR Alliance and the Home of Limits. And according to what he knows, this equipment is compared to the main database before making a judgment. In other words, these test data and judgment results are all recorded in the main database. So nobody dares to lie. Phew! Wang Ho let out a long breath. Alright, it's all done. Mr. Wei, I'll tell you some bad news. This battle uniform set of yours isn't an SS grade battle uniform set. At the same time, I'll tell you some good news. This battle uniform set of yours isn't an S-grade battle uniform set either, because it's a battle uniform set made from both S-grade and SS-grade parts. Laughed Wang Ho. This battle uniform set's battle vest is an SS grade. Luo Feng let out a sigh of relief. The results on the screen were also very clear. All the other parts were S-grade. Only the battle vest was an SS grade. And the most important part of a battle uniform set is the battle vest, which is the core part that protects the body. The powerful fighters who used this battle uniform set probably didn't have enough money, so they only bought an SS-grade battle vest. Laughed Wang Ho. This is a common thing in the Palace of War Gods. And the other parts, like the pants and boots, are all S-grade. Luo Feng could guess this. What's your price? Asked Luo Feng. A complete SS-grade battle uniform set costs 120 billion in the dojo, and half price is 60 billion. And the best price in the Palace of War Gods is 40 billion. This SS-grade battle vest is the core part, so it's worth half of the entire battle uniform set. It's 100% intact. If you buy it in the Palace of War Gods, the best price is 20 billion, however, the cost of the battle vest is clearly lower than 20 billion. And my price is definitely lower than the cost of making it. I'll give you 15 billion at most. I'll buy this SS-grade battle vest, laughed Wang Ho. Of course, with my authority, I can't move such a huge amount of money at once. If you're willing to sell it to me, you'll need to wait around 15 minutes for me to get the money. Luo Feng's heart slightly moved. The dragon egg is 5 billion, the SS-grade sword is 8 billion, and this SS-grade vest is 15 billion. That's a total of 28 billion. He's very close to 30 billion. What price can you pay for the other parts of this S-grade battle uniform set? Asked Luo Feng. Keep in mind that different people buy different sizes of battle uniforms. Luo Feng tried this battle uniform set before, but it was clearly too big, so he didn't plan on keeping it. This. Wang Ho slightly frowned and said, Mr. Wei, I'll be honest. First, the other parts of your battle uniform set are all worn out, so they aren't 100% intact. We can't just take them out and sell them. Second, the market for the vest is very good, but the boots and pants. How about this? The full S-grade battle uniform set costs 12 billion in the dojo, half price 6 billion. The best price in the Palace of War Gods is 4 billion. And your S-grade battle uniform set, which doesn't even have the core battle vest, won't cost more than 1.5 billion. And since it isn't 100% intact, I can only give you 800 million. Wang Ho shook his head and laughed. And this is because of our previous business deal. I dare say that if you just sell these parts, no one else will be able to pay 800 million. Naturally, Luo Feng knew about Wang Ho's reputation, which was why he came to Kyoto headquarters city just to find him. Wang Ho's price is very generous, and he usually doesn't bargain. 800 million, Luo Feng hesitated for a bit and then nodded. All right, 800 million it is. These incomplete parts are useless to him. Mr. Wei, do you still have more? asked Wang Ho. No more. Luo Feng couldn't help but to laugh. Calculate the price and prepare to transfer it to this account. As he said that, he took out a piece of paper from his pocket. On the paper was the anonymous account and confirmation code that he applied for with the Swiss International Bank. Wang Ho smiled and nodded. Dragon Egg 5 billion, SS Grade Sword 8 billion, SS Grade Vest 15 billion, S Grade Incomplete Battle Uniform Set Parts 800 million, total 8 billion. Mr. Wei, wait a bit. I'll send over the information on the vest and request to increase the transfer amount. As he said that, Wang Ho swiftly entered the data on the keyboard of the machine. The machine's dreamy light enveloped the vest and sent the detailed data to headquarters. Around 10 minutes later. Beep beep, Wang Ho took out his cell phone and let out a smile. Mr. Wei, the money should have been transferred. Wang Ho looked at Luo Feng. Only our headquarters can transfer so much money in an instant through the Swiss International Bank. Luo Feng's cell phone also rang. He took out his cell phone and saw that a message had been sent. Respected Diamond Level Client, your account ending with 189,891 received a transfer of 28,800,000,000 Chinese dollars on the 8th, 2336. The balance is 28,800,000,000 Chinese dollars. Swiss International Bank. It was a pleasure working with you, smiled Luo Feng as he extended his hand. A big client like Mr. Wei, please help me out more in the future. Wang Ho passionately shook Luo Feng's hand. Mr. Wei, prepare to. Wang Ho signaled with his eyes. No thanks, I still have things to do. Luo Feng picked up his bag. Then I'll be leaving first, okay? I won't be seeing you off. I still have to take care of these things, laughed Wang Ho. Everything in this room is a treasure. That night, Luo Feng took the train and left Kyoto headquarters city. He only arrived at Jiangnan headquarters city's Yangzhou City Station at around 7 a.m. the next day. Luo Feng went to the Real Kung Fu fast food restaurant next to the train station. He went to the bathroom and removed his beard, glasses, and cushions. He also washed his face and returned to normal. Home, Luo Feng took a taxi and arrived at the entrance of Mingyue Sector. Mingyue Sector is a fighter sector, so outsiders aren't allowed to enter. Naturally, the taxi stopped at the entrance. I'm back, Luo Feng let out a sigh of relief. The dragon egg and the battle uniform were all troublesome, so it's good that he got rid of them. 8 billion. Along with his savings, he has almost 30 billion in total. And he'll continue to make money in the future. Luo Feng, yelled the old, white-haired guard at the entrance of Mingyue Sector. Luo Feng turned his head. The old, white-haired guard laughed. There's a little girl called Zhen Nan. Last night, she was at the entrance of the sector and made phone calls to see your brother, but she didn't succeed. Late at night, she came to the sector again and asked for my help. She asked me to give a letter to your Luo family. She wants to give it to your brother, Luo Hua. Oh. Luo Feng's heart skipped a beat as he received the letter.